Hi, we're back and we're doing numbers now. And Mark is back. Remember him, Mr. E? So
Yeah.
we're back and we're going to do the brand new Bible book, the whole book of Numbers, hopefully. And so we're just trying to figure out the live thing. And I know there's a lot of weirdness at the beginning, but we're going to get started. Uh, so now we're doing chapter 1 in Numbers. And you're going to start, Mark, right?
Yeah, I'm using the Legacy Standard Bible, if that's all right, which is basically it's kind of it's a type of NASB, New American Standard Bible. Um, anyway, so that's what it is. And it actually uses the word Yahweh. Wherever it says that in Hebrew, it just says, yeah, instead of, because if it says Lord, usually they say Lord, capital Lord, but the Hebrew actually says Yahweh. And I know that's not exactly nobody knows how to say it exactly, so I'm just going to say that, but
Yeah, that's what I say.
that's the main difference that you might notice in this
Which is
version.
great because I thought for a
Yeah.
while Bible Gateway got rid of the word Yahweh.
Well,
Um,
the Jews don't say it, and that's kind of why nobody knows how to say it is because they just wouldn't even say it anymore. And nobody knows the vowel markings. And it's really complex. And why doesn't anyone know how to say it exactly, which is kind of weird, but it's true. Nobody knows how to say it. Even Jews who speak Hebrew, I've asked them, and they don't even want to say it. That's the big part of it, but they won't even
you
say
know,
it.
I saw a video of somebody trying to explain it. Like they made a connection. I don't know if it's true or not, but they said it kind of mimics your breath in and out, like yeah, Yahweh, that kind of thing. Like
Oh,
it's
maybe, yeah,
inhaling and exhaling. But I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Anyway, so this is Numbers. They're still at Mount Sinai. They did the Ten Commandments and the golden calf and all that stuff, and Leviticus, and it's been in this. They've been in the same place since about Exodus 19 or so, all the way through Leviticus and all the laws and all that stuff. And here they are in Numbers. And I would say that I've read that some people have said that Numbers is actually the least popular book in the Bible.
Oh, really? What? Why?
Even more than, like, everyone knows Leviticus, but nobody reads it, but everyone knows it. Numbers is just kind of a weird book because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got like some war kind of stuff, and it's got some law. It's got just a whole bunch of weird stuff, and it's not really the same kind of thing the whole way through. And there's a lot of numbers, right, as we're going to see. So in fact, you might want to get your calculator out. Seriously, seriously. At some point, we're going to be using the calculator.
All
And
right, I got my calculator. So they're
yeah.
doing a census. So you think it's like the same thing as what we go through with our
No,
government?
no, no. This is a military draft.
Oh,
That's what it is. Yeah. Okay, let's read it. And I
okay.
think if we could maybe just read a verse, we'll just stop whenever we need to.
Okay.
So all right. So then Yahweh spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting on the first of the second month in the second year after they had come out of the land of Egypt. So they've been there like a year, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
Um, saying, take a census of all the congregation of the sons of Israel by their families, by their fathers' households, according to the number of names, every male, head by head, from 20 years old and upward. Whoever is able to go out to war in Israel, you and Aaron shall number them by their armies. All right. So yeah. So the word census, it's kind of true, I guess, but I think we would call this today a draft, right? A military draft, because it's only the men over the age of 20 um, who are able to fight. They're soldiers. This is a military operation right now.
Yeah.
And so the Israelites really, and then the words used, like in Exodus and some other places, we'll see it here. We see it here right now. They're called an army, right?
All right.
And there's 12 tribes, so they're gonna take the fighting men from each tribe, basically, and break them down into military units like platoons. and
Yeah.
troops and divisions and all. They're creating an army basically right here, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Yeah. So they're not counting the women and the children and the men unable to fight. So that's why if you want to calculate, or, if you want to make an estimate of the population of the Israelites at that time, you can try to figure out how many, because the only numbers they really give us are the number of fighting men.
Yeah. So
And
even if you times it by
yeah,
3, even if they have more children, they'll at least give
yeah.
you
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It could be it could be 25% of the total population
Yeah.
or something or whatever it is. And now I think we talked about it last time. I actually published a video just a few days ago about this topic, about the actual numbers.
Yeah.
I think the Hebrew means something different than what it says in the English Bibles, but we'll get to that. And you feel free to disagree, but I also have
Still
the right
think it's,
I have the right to share my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. No, that's fine. You think it's probably 20, 30,000, and I
I
think
do. Yeah. But
500 to 600,000.
well,
Only
that's that.
because
No, no, no.
that.
That's the fighting men.
Oh,
if you go back to Exodus 12, here, I think it's Exodus 12:37, I believe. Right here. All right, so it says 600,000
600,000.
men on foot. That's foot soldiers, actually, in Hebrew.
Yeah.
So that's
That,
just the fighting men. That's only the fighting men, right?
so
So that's
that's
about 1/4,
right. So that would, I don't know what that would be, like
two
almost
million.
1 million. Yeah.
But however, this word thousand is actually this Hebrew word here, elef, which means it does. If you can look at my video for more proof texts, and there are some proof texts that this has been known for a couple hundred years. Scholars have been debating this issue, and it's important because a lot of people will try to say, "Oh, this can't be true. This can't be real history because there's just too many people. How could 2 million people wander through the desert for 40 years?"
Well,
And
here's the thing though. You know why I believe it? Because it's God. He's showing his glory that that's what he did. If he only took out 20, 30,000 people, like, okay, that's just a great manager. He's not God. But with 2 million people, that's God. Because he gave them food, he gave them water, he gave them shelter, did all that other stuff. So I'm inclined to go with the bigger God, bigger number. But we can,
well, no, that's the standard view. That's what a lot of people. My pastor just said that the other day. Here's another way to look at it. Okay. So no, that's I'm not saying you're wrong, and maybe I'm wrong, but here's just another way to look at it, because that's kind of what I do, right? That's how my brain works. I look at things a different way, um,
that's fine.
which upsets people. That's why nobody wants to talk to me.
I want to talk to you. We're talking.
Yeah, you're one of the brave ones. So let's look at here just real quick. Deuteronomy 7, verse 7. Yahweh did not set his affection on you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any of the peoples, for you were the fewest of all peoples.
Yeah.
They were the
Well,
fewest of all peoples. So what I'm saying is that I don't think that's the theological message the Bible tells us about that. Oh, look there's so many people and God miraculously took care of
yeah.
them. I think the message is they were the fewest in number. There were a small group of people fighting against a much greater army, and God, won the battles for them, for this small group of people. So for me,
But the thing is, why
God
would,
is glorified by the smallness of the tribe.
yeah, that's a legitimate theory because he does do that too. But the only thing is to be slaves for 400 years, Pharaoh was upset at them because they kept multiplying. They got too big for
Well,
Egypt.
again, that's a relative term, though. How big is too big? I mean, 20,000 is maybe too
You
big
think
for
the
them.
Pharaoh would be scared of 20,000 people?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how big the population of Egypt was at the time. It's all relative,
It was probably one of the world dominant nation at the time.
Yeah. But
And
okay, but I'm looking at the textual, but the text itself.
Let's count them because don't they count them here?
Though there's lots of numbers in the book of Numbers.
Okay, awesome. Let's add them up.
Okay, but we're gonna okay, anyway. So this right here. So anyway, what this says here, this says I shouldn't do these hand signs. 600 LF,
Yeah.
which
Where's
mean
the
which
word?
what I'm saying, the word translated as thousand actually means platoon. And it does. You have to watch my video if you want to get into the boring details. And it means platoon. 600 platoon, 600 military units, because that's how militaries are organized. 600 military units
Okay,
of soldiers. So a unit would have around 10 or 12 or 15 people.
yeah,
So really this is talking about basically like 600 units of 10 people would be 6,000 people.
okay. Well, then
So
that should jive
there's
up
two
the
extra
number.
my whole thesis is there's about roughly there's two extra zeros on the end on all these numbers throughout the Old Testament, and there's hundreds of examples of this.
Well, the only thing is the Bible explains itself in several different places, so you never get stuck on one thing. So there should be two corroborations at least.
Oh,
Whether
there's
it's right.
hundreds. No, I just said that this word Aleph is used hundreds of times in the Bible,
Where is that?
and
Can you highlight it in
oh, I
Hebrew?
made a whole video on it.
All right, well,
But let's just we'll
I'll put
get
a
to it.
link
Well,
to it.
this is going to mean this is an issue that comes. The entire Old Testament has this issue with the numbers.
Okay.
So
Can
we
we
don't,
just divide the
that's
view?
an introduction. That's an introduction to the thesis. I have a whole 20-minute video I just put up on my YouTube channel. All right,
Well, if
and
you
there's
want
a
to
proof
insert
text.
the,
There's another proof text if you want, but I don't want to. I mean, I want to focus on the book of Numbers. Let's look at the numbers first.
all right,
Well,
all
do you
right,
want to see another proof text?
sure.
Joshua 3. I think it's this one. Um, I'm not, no, is it Joshua? I guess it wasn't Joshua 3. Well, okay. I have plenty of proof texts. Don't worry about that.
Well, let's
Let me
start
get
with
it.
numbers and see how much that adds up to.
Oh, it's no, it is. It's Joshua 7, verse 3. Okay, Joshua. No, this is a good one here. Joshua 7, verse 3. Okay, so this is like the next chapter basically, but it
Yeah,
says bring up only 2 or 3 thousand men, right?
yeah,
Because Ai is a small town. They're going to invade this. They're going to fight against this town called Ai,
yeah,
and it's a small town. There's just a few people there. They don't need a lot of people. So bring only 2 or 3 thousand. That's a lot of
yeah.
people. So I would say 2 or 3 platoons. See, the word
Okay.
Aleph it's a collective noun, and it's
But
also used for animals. It's used for animals, herds of animals.
but if you
Okay,
just
so
said that this is two or
no, I'm
three
not done. I'm not
platoons,
done with
okay,
my proof text.
all
It's
right.
verses 3 to 7. Hold on just a minute. And I see that's the natural, of course, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm wrong, but at least hear me out.
All
So
right,
about 3,000 men, these are the Israelites, they went up there, and the men of Ai struck down about 36. All right, so 36 Israelites were killed
yeah.
out of 3,000. Now, is that a total disaster? Is that the end of the world?
Not really.
Is that a horrible loss? I mean, yeah, it's sad that 36 people died, but out of 36 out of 3,000,
Yeah, it's a
it's
small
really a
number.
small percentage, like 1% maybe. Then
Yeah,
Joshua, this is Joshua, the mighty warrior, one of the two people that could enter the promised land, tore his clothes, fell to the earth on his face before the ark of Yahweh until the evening. Both he and the elders of Israel, everybody, they put dust on their heads. They're mourning. They're just terrified and they're mourning and they're really upset about this. O Lord Yahweh, why did you bring this people over the Jordan only to give us into the hand of the Amorites to make us perish? If only we had been willing to live beyond the Jordan, you know. So basically, and I think other translation will say like, why did you let them destroy us? So it makes more sense to me that three platoons of At least 12 people each went up. 36 died. That means most of the soldiers died. And that reaction makes a lot more sense if most of the soldiers died.
Okay, I see how it could go either way. But I'm not convinced yet
No, 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 you're
because
not. Watch my video. My
I
video,
know
I made a video about this.
I'm gonna post a link to your video in this video so they can all watch it.
In fact, I've been putting it off. I was going to make a video about this, but since we're starting numbers, I had to finish it. But I'm going to make more videos on it. And it is a really important topic because, like I said, I know that, Christians who have faith will believe whatever the Bible says, but the skeptics will use this as this whole thing about the numbers. They will say, well, there's no way 2 million
Well,
people go out. And I would say, well, maybe this word actually means platoon instead of thousand. Now we have a realistic amount of number that anyone can believe. And they can't use this as a proof text to say that the Bible is not historically accurate.
well, the only thing is then if it's platoons and not thousands, then God made a big error, right? Which I don't think he would do
No, what do you mean?
because he's allowing these translations so the English speaking people can at least
No, no, no.
understand what it means, right?
The doctrine of inerrancy, the inerrancy of Scripture is regarded to the original autographs, which means like the first draft or the first version of these texts, which don't really exist anymore. We don't have them. But the doctrine of inerrancy cannot be about all the different manuscripts because there are there are differences, right? Small,
Yeah.
insignificant ones, but so you can't say that all these different manuscripts are all correct if they're all different in all these different translations we have.
Well,
You know,
on some meanings, like a word or two that kind of similar and maybe, but this is the count of people. And in fact, the whole book is about counting people. So if you don't get this right, whether it's 20,000
no,
or,
it was right originally. And people see, no, the problem is people used to understand this. People used to understand the Hebrew about the platoons, but what happened is the Israelites didn't have any armies they went into captivity in Babylon, like in what was that, the fifth or sixth century BC. They didn't have an army again after that. So I think what
how about
happened
if
is
we,
that
how about if we read it in parallel? Your view that it's a platoons, smaller number, and my number for a larger army.
so yeah, so see, people are not perfect. God is perfect, but people are not. So people, you know, eventually didn't lost touch with what this word meant. That would be the theory. Um,
Which is fine.
God didn't make a mistake. It's the people did. And we're going to see people making mistakes all throughout the Bible, right? So
Yeah. All right,
yeah.
let's count. Let's
It's
count.
just one of those things.
Excited to count. Okay,
Let's
so
just read it. So
platoons
so verse
versus,
4, verse 4.
all right, 4.
But the main thing, this is a military context. We see the word
Yeah,
armies, we see the word war,
yeah,
and it's a military draft.
yeah.
Um, with you, moreover, there shall be a man of each tribe, each one head of his father's household. So that sounds like the leader. They're choosing a leader from each
Yeah.
tribe. Then these are the names of the men who shall stand with you of Reuben, Eliezer, the son of Shedur. Now I'm going to butcher all these names. There's a lot of names. Do I have to read all these?
No. Well, kinda. You can just glance right over them.
um, of Simeon, yeah. Nobody wants to hear me try to say all these names.
So are
I mean,
these the ones that picked that like I should count them or should I not?
no. There's actual numbers. We don't need to count.
Oh, okay.
We know when to count because the numbers will be there. But remember, in Hebrew, it's actually a word. They
Yeah.
don't have Roman numbers like we use, whatever they are. Those
Okay,
numbers
well,
are
you can
you don't.
skip over all these names.
So
They
all
can,
these people here, but the main thing, it looks like on the left we have the main tribes,
the
right?
12, right?
And
Simeon, yeah.
then they're choosing the leader of each tribe. So each tribe is kind of they're finding the soldiers from each tribe and choosing the captain, you might call it, right? Or the
Or
commander,
the
the
son of Simeon tribe, right? The
Simeon,
because
yeah,
Judah and Nashon,
Judah. Yeah.
Issachar, Nathaniel,
Yeah.
Zebulun, Elib, the sons of Joseph, Ephraim, whatever.
Ephraim. Yeah. Ephraim and
Uh,
Manasseh, right? Those are the two half tribes,
yeah,
sons of Joseph.
Benjamin, Dan, Asher, Gad, Naphtali,
Naphtali.
Naphtali.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
so they're just kind of, listing these names and stuff, and again, this is all historical narrative. This is actual real history, right? There's
Yeah.
real people's names, all this stuff. These are they who were called upon by the congregation, the leaders of their fathers' tribes. They were the heads of the divisions of Israel. There you go, division, military terminology, right?
Yeah.
Um, and this is the way all armies have been organized. And they're all slightly different, but that's generally that's how you do it. You don't just send like 600,000 people in one mass mob of an army. They have to be organized.
Yeah, I understand
You
that.
know?
I actually think probably even beginning of the history of US, when they initially took the census, it was probably for
Ah, that's a good point.
wartime,
It
right?
could be, yeah. I
War,
mean, it
yeah,
could be different reasons, tax
yeah.
reasons, whatever it is.
But then
But
they turned it into Social Security numbering for everybody.
turn
And
us into slaves,
yeah,
basically.
I
But
know.
I don't, there's different censuses too. We're going to see them. There's a census for the Levites coming up soon in chapter 3, I think, and they're not soldiers, right? They're priests, so they're not soldiers. Um, but there's different reasons for a census, but this one here is for military. So this is like
Yeah.
this one here is more like a military draft. And remember later on, like King David tried to do a census
Mhm.
without God's authorization, and he got reprimanded for that. God
Yeah.
sent a plague upon them. So because he was trying to start a war without being told to by God. God is the real commander of the army, actually.
Yeah.
So
Except we're
um,
kind of doing that now, creating wars without authorization.
exactly. So Moses and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first of the second month. Then they registered by genealogy in their families by their fathers' households. So this word family again is another collective noun, right? It's a
Yeah.
group of people, right? And it might, I don't have the Hebrew up there, but it might be the same word. Sometimes the word Aleph is translated as clan, herd, division, platoon, by their fathers' households, according to the number of names from 20 years old and upward, head by head. Just going to highlight that. So again, 20 years old and upward, fighting men, soldiers, just as Yahweh had commanded Moses. So he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. Now the sons of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, their genealogical registration by their families, by their fathers' households, according to the number of names, head by head, every male from 20 years old and upward, whoever was able to go out to war. Again, war, right? That's the context
Mhm.
here. They're going to war. Now, who are they? That I mean, that's a whole other issue, right? And that's another thing. People, the skeptics would. You get a lot. That's see these. There's two main issues that people argue against the Bible. Is there's too many people, first of all, and then there's also why is God so mean and he's going around killing all these people. But we can talk about that later when they actually start doing it.
Yeah.
But it needs to be addressed head on, you know what I mean? And there is there's an explanation for it. I'm trying to get rid of that, but all right. They're numbered men of the tribe of Reuben. Okay, we got some numbers.
46,500.
46,500. Now,
So do you think that's an actual number or
I think
platoon?
it's 46 platoons. Now, the 500 unit there's different theories about this. One, my theory was that, so my theory would, and not really my theory, but other people's have, I didn't really invent this whole thing, right? This has been debated for a couple hundred years now. 46, I would say 46 platoons, and then five smaller or different units of some other type of soldiers, because in an army there's different types of soldiers, just like we have the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. And within that, you'll have like, and back then they had like people on horses, chariots, they had archers, they had swordsmen. So
But
that's,
then you're kind of reading way too much more
no,
than
no,
the actual
I'm not.
number.
It's consistent though. But another theory is that this means 46 platoons with a total of 500 people. And the word
No,
is Mayot. But
now you're butchering it
that's
completely.
not my I didn't come up with that theory.
Okay, I don't like that theory at all.
No, no,
So
no. So you're reading the English though. You're reading the English
yeah,
coming.
I
We're coming from
know,
a.
but
It was written in Hebrew by probably by Moses over like 3,500 years ago.
numbers are consistent in every part of the world. That one thing doesn't change, is numbers.
No, but the word Elef is a collective noun that means platoon. It's a military unit.
Well, it's gonna make me want to research it now. But for right
You
now,
watch my
I'm gonna
video.
go
That's
ahead
why I
and-
put the video up.
I know, but it's bugging me because it doesn't jive with.
Watch my video. No, it
I would
doesn't
have
jive
bought
with your
that.
English.
I would have bought that, except when there's actual numbers, and if you're manipulating numbers that don't mean
No,
numbers,
it was written like this in
then none of the
Hebrew.
numbers in the entire Bible are gonna mean anything.
They mean something in Hebrew.
Yeah, 46,500.
In
So,
English, that's what it says in English
but
that was translated,
no, but
3,000
numbers
years
are
later.
not English. Numbers are universal.
But they're written in Hebrew words originally. They didn't have numbers like this. Moses did not write this. He wrote this over here. And this is
Okay.
Aleph, and this is Me'ot. And these are military units.
So is
And what
that
it is, see what
made
it
by
is,
the word?
they didn't have vowels back then. So the word thousand is very similar to the word for military unit. And they knew, see, Moses knew what he was doing. They knew it back then. If someone see this Hebrew on the right, 3,000 years ago, someone reading that, they were not confused about this at all. They understood it. So they're talking about an army. There's 46 platoons, and then there's 500 something else. Today, when we read this, we don't know exactly how they organized their army. And this word Aleph, so similar to the word for thousand, that all the English translations will say this. But we're going to see later on, there's a list of numbers, and they don't even add up.
All
These
right,
do
well,
here.
let's keep adding them.
And these ones, this is really the only time there's 100 unit. Most of them have 3 zeros at the end. Like throughout the Old Testament, most of the time you see large groups and numbers, like we
Well,
just saw in
there's
Joshua.
there's
Like, look
another
at this. So do you think exactly 3,000 men went up? Not 3,002 or 3,012? You know what I mean?
well, it says
Exactly.
about 3,000.
Yeah, that's true. It does. Okay, there you go.
Could
And this
be
one
more.
also yeah. And again too, if that's, yeah, so, but there's one that ends with 50, but most of them have 2 zeros at the end. So is this exactly, so now they're counting them exactly though. So it's exactly 46,500, not 46,498.
No, because they're taking the census. That means it's an exact count,
And this one's 59,300, but not 299.
right?
Now this one has 50. That's the only one, but this one, they all end with 2 zeros.
Yeah, so,
That's what you're saying.
but they're picking,
What are
remember?
the odds of that?
But they're picking those people. And
So
then
there's some men that could go out to war, but they said, "Oh no, we got to end with 2 zeros. So sorry, you can't join the army."
all right, let's keep adding, because
Yeah,
that
military
explains
units.
itself.
There's no problem with the accuracy. In fact, for me, this is accurate. I think the way I'm looking at this, for me, like I feel like I have the
So
accurate
when we finally add them all up,
meaning.
whatever the total number is.
Well, let's read this part here. Okay, so then the whoever was able to go to war, the numbered men of the tribe of Reuben were 46,500. Of the
Mhm.
sons of Simeon, their genealogical registration by their families, by their fathers' households, their numbered men according to the number of the names, head by head, every male from 20 years old, blah, blah, blah. Whoever was able to go out to war. Notice this paragraph, like each paragraph's pretty much the same,
Yeah, and
right?
it's head
So,
by head. That means they were counted head by
so
head.
they were.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that 59 platoons, and this now another scholar came up with this idea about 25 years ago. He said 59 platoons with a total of 300 people.
So
The way it's written in
59
Hebrew.
times 15, let's just say they're picking out 15 people
There's an
per,
average of about 10 people in each platoon if you throughout the whole thing, if you look at it. And but again, for me, I kind of lean more towards that's a different type of military unit. Three other military units. It could even be the three could be three commanders or three leaders, whatever.
if God didn't want it to be a precise number of head by head, he would have said, pick your 15 or 20 best per tribe, right? If we're talking a smaller number. Why didn't he
59
just say that?
platoons, that would be 590 people roughly. If we average, just to keep it simple, if we think of 10 people in each
Yeah,
platoon.
but, right, but what I'm saying is, why didn't he just say, pick 10 of whoever instead of head by head?
10
Head by
people's not
head means,
enough.
I mean, 10 by whatever your theory is, the
Yeah,
platoon.
they chose individual soldiers and they put them into military units. And when they count, yeah, I mean, just this. Okay,
Yes.
so anyways,
Yeah,
so these paragraphs are exactly the same.
so I'm gonna
And then
add
there's
59, 300, I'm
no,
gonna add
it
numbers.
gives us the number at the end. All right. So
Well,
this,
jive with adding them all up.
well, okay, now here's another thing too. Notice how many notes I have here. Um, all right. So yeah, if you add those up, you will get this number right here.
Okay, 603,550.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge army. And if their
So
army was really that
basically,
big, no, if their army was this big, they could have taken over the world. No problem. They didn't even need God's help.
uh, so, okay, but back then, there were probably a lot more people to conquer. So let's just say it's,
No other army
it's-
was that big. Most armies were, 5, 10,000 people.
yeah, but remember we
Uh,
were saying that it was 2,000 or 2 million people that
you
he
are
made.
saying that. I'm not saying that. Most Christians will say that. I'm saying there was about 6 or 7,000 soldiers left Egypt, military men fighting age. Right
Okay,
here, this verse right here. I believe this says 600 platoons.
all right,
If you just estimate 10 people in each platoon, that's 600, that's 6,000 soldiers plus
okay,
women and children. So then you could estimate 20 to 30,000 people.
all right, but we're gonna read it in parallel. 6,000 platoons or 6,000 soldiers versus 600.
600 platoons
Yeah,
totaling
versus
6,000
600,000.
soldiers. So this is the same thing. It's the same number, but a more precise number, right? So because
Yeah,
this says about, it does say
yeah,
about 600 LF. The word is, which is right here. This is the word right there, LF, and 600 LF. And then
okay.
this is 603. This right here, it says 603 LF.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, now it's a little complex. Remember, this is the book of Numbers. That's why I said, but yeah, it does come up to this. But if you add up only the first two numbers,
Yeah.
the thousands area, if you add
Mhm.
all those up, you get 598. Okay.
Mhm.
And then if you add up the second part after the comma, you
Yeah,
get 5,550. Now, if you add 598 plus 5,550, you get the same number here. So the theory is that originally in Hebrew it said 598 LF, 598 platoons, and then 5 LF, 550, which the first LF means platoon, the second one means thousand.
but you have the
It's
Hebrew right there, right?
yes.
What does it say? Doesn't it have
Well,
the English?
okay, so the theory is that the people who copied it, they didn't know what this word LF meant. There's an LF here, and then there's Elephim, which is the plural. So this one here means platoon. Again, this is the theory. This is the
But
theory.
don't you
Believe
have
it or
a
not, th-
translation right there that you can click on, the English?
this is the translation, the English.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
no, but I mean, just that word, Aleph. that you
Yeah,
have?
I mean, I'll read it to you. It's in my video.
Thousands. It says noun, thousand.
No,
When
I'll
you just,
read the
no, but when you clicked on it, right click, whatever you did, you can see
what does
it.
the word run mean? If you click down the word run, how many definitions would you have?
Yeah, but I'm saying in your own dictionary, click it. It gave you
That's
the definition.
I'm clicking it. I have it right here. It says military unit
No, but when you right
and
click
herd.
for the screen that you had before, there, leave it there. If you
That's
go,
not the definition. That's not the definition. You have
but
to
it
look in
says
the
thousands right below.
all right,
Um,
I'll read it to you. I could show you if I screen share different. I'd have to change the screen share. It's in my video, all right?
all right. Do you want,
Okay,
how
let me
long is
read
your video?
let me read the definition here.
Okay.
I could change the screen share so you could see it if you
You want to
want.
show us your
Um,
video
um,
after we read this
I'll
chapter?
change. Hold on, I'll change the screen share.
No, you don't have to.
No, we have to. I don't know how to do it though. Oh, here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Actually, you know what I'm going to do is no, it's normal and natural to not believe anything I say. I'm used to that.
Well, I
Um,
believe the word of God, but you are making a counter argument.
no,
Which,
I'm the word of God is written in Hebrew.
yeah, but he gave us the English
Do you see
translation.
this? Do you see the
Can't make
dictionary?
a schizoid of going, cannot believe the English translation and then not having
It's
to become.
irrelevant. Do you see? No, you don't. How do I change this?
If you want to stop screen sharing and then re-pick it again, it'll allow you to pick that window.
Okay. Do you
Oh,
see
there you
the
go.
dictionary?
Yeah.
All right. 546, Aleph, right?
Hmm.
Cattle herd, a group of large ruminating grazing mammals. Okay. So
Okay.
really this word was originally used for oxen, for herds of oxen.
Or it
Now
really kind of means
obviously we're not
group.
talking about oxen, we're talking about soldiers in this context, right? In the book of Numbers, we're talking about soldiers.
But read
Second definite
547.
547,
Yeah.
Aleph, thousand, a cardinal
Yeah.
number, a very large number, assumed to be an actual mathematical cardinal, but in some contexts may mean a great, very great countless number. Context is king.
Yeah.
Everything I'm saying is about context.
Okay.
Okay. Third one, Aleph, 548, clan. It is translated as clan sometimes in the
Okay.
English Bibles, a subgroup of a main clan tribe division as an extended family unit. Military unit, for example, a group of soldiers as a subgroup of an army. And it says Numbers 31:48 right there, this
Mm-hmm.
verse. Commanders of thousands, commanders of hundreds. Okay, see how when it says commanders of military units and the commanders of military units.
Right, but that number is explained it as
Hun
like,
Hundreds, so it's thousands in this case, in verse 48, 31:48, it says commanders of military units instead of
so
thousands. It should
what
be
I see
military
from
units.
your dictionary whole thing and trying to define it, it's really saying it's a group designation or a number that can be
Yeah,
designated either as livestock, people, armies, whatever.
it's a
Like
collective
um,
noun, a group, like a family,
a group. Let's just call it a group.
a group.
Then,
Exactly.
but then the Bible is actually defining how much that group is comprised of.
Where?
When it gives you numbers or when it gives you explanations, right? So here it's not giving you numbers. It's not
No,
saying it's 1,000 or 100 or a 10
no.
or one, right? It's just saying it's a group. You agree?
Yes, that's why I say the word military unit or platoon
Okay,
is what it
so
means.
the definition of that is just designating that it's a large group. It's not defining how much. But when it gives out numbers, isn't it defining it?
It's counting the number of groups. So it's right
Yeah,
here,
but
verse 46. For me, I read this as 603. Well, if you add up all these, like this one here, I would read this as 53 military units, 53 groups, 53 groups. There's lots of families. These are 12. There's 12. The word tribe is a collective noun, right? That's a group. There's 12 tribes. Each tribe has all these different families and clans and
But
all
it
these
doesn't need to
soldiers.
come up with the 400 then. It could have easily been translated as 53 units or whatever they wanted to call it without actually giving it 53,400. So it's
No,
still
in the
at that
Hebrew it says
400.
53 Aleph, 53 units, and then it says four Mayot is the hundreds. So we just saw that verse. It said they chose a commander of Aleph and commander of Mayot. I would say Aleph is one military unit, Mayot is a different military unit. So this, for me, this is 53 platoons and four squads, for example.
So can you do the dictionary of all the yellow words in Hebrew there? On
Right
that one?
here. It's right here.
Yeah, that
This is
first one.
this word here, 53,400. It's all these words in Hebrew right here.
So can you
Beginning here.
define the whole line there? So I can see the
Yeah.
context. So the
Um,
very first word with that little N there.
it basically says 53 Aleph. All right. 3 and 50 Aleph.
Do
That's how they
your
say 53.
drop down so I could see what I was trying to
I
say.
don't. All right. This is 3 or 30, depending on the ending. This is 3.
Okay, that's
One here is
3.
5.
50. This is
50. This is
50.
50. So it's 3 and 50 is kind of how they write it. This is 3 and 50. That's Aleph, right?
That's
Thousand, or as we saw, military units, right? So,
right, but in that,
in is this a military context?
I'm just gonna follow the definition just to see what it
Well,
says.
no, no, no. Well, that's a
So,
simple That's
okay, this is
see,
4.
if everyone agreed on this, then this wouldn't. See, there's been no consensus reached, and obviously the translators, they're aware of this issue, but they haven't. Nobody has the conviction or the courage to go out and change the English Bibles.
No, and they
But that's what I do. This is one of the great. There's some scholars that say this is an unsolved mystery. Nobody knows.
so that word means 100 right
This
there.
word, no,
100.
but military unit as well. It's also a military
Okay,
unit,
but I'm
same as
just
Ella.
reading it what it means as a noun, right? So it says
That's the
100 there.
first. That's the first simple definition that comes up with all these other things. That's not even. That's you don't just right click and know what a word means.
I understand that, but uh so 300, what's the next
So
word?
again, I'll just read this. It said this one also. Let me show you what the word for 100 means. Let me. You got to remember, I've been looking at this for like the last year.
I know, but I'm not gonna just into
Here's
like
Mayot. This is okay. Here's Mayot or Mayah. This is Mayah in plural. It's Mayot. 100, right? 100.
yeah,
Okay. So that's the 100 cardinal number. Here it says units of
units of
100. For
100.
example, a military unit of 100 soldiers, for example. Yeah.
So it's making it 100 for sure, no matter how
No,
you.
no, 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 no. These people who write this dictionary, they don't know what they're talking about.
Ah, well, we gotta believe something here. So like it here,
I'm saying, what I'm
a
saying,
military unit of 100
no,
soldiers.
it's not a military unit of 100 soldiers. It's a military unit of
No,
a
no,
number
no.
of soldiers we don't know. Why
But
would
you
you think it's a
agreed on the
military?
last, you agreed on the last definition.
How many soldiers were in a Roman century? The Roman centuries, a military unit in Rome was called a century. How many
No,
soldiers
what
were in
this
a
word
century?
means is 100. However you end up defining it, that's what that word means is 100.
No, it doesn't. It means military unit. So then
No,
what do you say? Okay,
you gotta read the rest of it. Military unit of 100 soldiers. So the word is defined
how do
as
they, that's because that's what they think it means.
no. In every part of it, I'll read it. Cardinal number. Okay, so
No,
100.
these they didn't write. This isn't Moses. Moses didn't write this.
I know that. I'm just saying within this definition.
You're trying to make your argument based on an incorrect dictionary.
Well, then stop using that dictionary if it's incorrect.
No, it said military unit.
Of 100, you didn't read the rest of it. Go back.
How do they know it's 100? Nobody
No,
knows
go
how many
back.
people.
Go back to the.
I know, I know what it says. I know it
Okay,
says 100.
well, we're
How do
never
they know
gonna
that's
win this
100?
argument, so let's
So
just.
no, no. So is this then how many? If there's 4 military units of 100, then they're
That's
saying there's
400.
400 men. I'm
Yeah,
saying there's 4 military units.
yeah, but
That's it.
you're getting rid of the 100 part, which is not fair.
And so these are military units of 1,000 people. That's a large military unit.
Yeah,
There's
that's the
53
point.
units of 1,000 people
53,000 people for 400.
because that's what the English said.
But that's even what your dictionary said.
No, the dictionary said military. For LF, it said military unit. It didn't say it's 1,000
No,
people.
in military units of 100, it defined that word as 100.
No, I said for LF. That's the one that's
The
translated
LF
as
only
1,000.
meant group. It didn't define any numbers, but the rest of the words define numbers. So LF in itself, all it's saying is a group. Could be, and it says any large number, it doesn't matter what it is. But the rest of them, it gave it a specific number. So let's just assume for right now, it's either 600 units, and I'm just gonna stick with the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, yeah. You stick with your version. I'll stick with mine.
Okay. Let's finish. What
Hold
happened?
on here. What do you see the screen?
Yeah.
All right. So verse 47, the Levites, however, were not numbered among them by their father's tribe. Yahweh had spoken to Moses, saying, only the tribe of Levi you shall not number, nor shall you take their census among the sons of Israel. But you shall appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony and over all its furnishings and over all that belongs to it. They shall carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings, and they shall attend to it. They shall also camp around the tabernacle. So when the tabernacle is set out, the Levites shall take it down. And when the tabernacle encamps, the Levites shall set it up. But the layman who comes near shall be put to death. And the sons of Israel shall camp, each man by his own camp, and each man by his own standard. So again, these are units, these are military jargon according to their armies. All right. And but the Levites shall camp around the tabernacle of the testimony, so that there will be no wrath on the congregation of the sons of Israel. So the Levites shall keep charge of the tabernacle of the testimony. Thus the sons of Israel did according to all which Yahweh had commanded Moses, so they did.
Yeah, and the
All right.
reason for that was because they were the anointed priests that were doing the work of God, and all their inheritance was coming
Yeah.
from the rest of the tribes. So they didn't need to go to war.
Now I have a there's a verse that, yeah, and why the Levites, why were they chosen?
To be anointed priests.
Like what makes them so special? Like why didn't he choose some other tribe, which I will show you the answer here. I looked into this beforehand, so I cheated. So, okay, so this here, you see this here, right? Exodus 32, this is the golden calf incident.
Yeah.
So Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, whoever is for Yahweh, come to me, and all the sons of Levi gathered together to him. That's why the Levites were chosen, because of this. They were the only ones to stand up and defend Levi.
That's awesome. So you think Levi jeans is part of their tribe?
Oh, I almost wore a Levi shirt. I should have wore that. I have a Levi. I have a shirt that says Levi. And now these blue ones here are the Levites, but we're going to see later on, I think it's in chapter 3, there's 3 main families of Levites or clans,
Mm-hmm.
and then they break those down, and they all have slightly different jobs. And then here's Moses in that. These are like the priests, the real priests.
Yeah.
These Levites are more like I think these days we might even call them deacons. They more like do all the labor regarding the tabernacle.
Yeah.
They're like helpers. They're kind of like laborers, but they're close to the tabernacle. And these are the over here they call these the laymen in our translation we just saw, but these are the armies. And so they're kind of they're not as holy, right? They're kind of out further away from, and they cannot approach. This is
Right.
the presence of God in here. So these guys here, the Levites are like protecting the tabernacle
Yeah.
from the unclean, from the profane masses.
Yeah,
But
because even like wasn't there Reuben or Simeon, one of those that had like the sons had a sex with the father's wife or something like that. Was that Reuben?
when in Genesis, I don't
Oh,
know, I don't remember.
uh, well, I guess I don't remember either. Maybe that hasn't happened yet.
In Leviticus,
Uh, I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of anyway. This is basically how it was laid out,
Yeah.
like an army, right? And now I'm not sure exactly like where all the women and children were, but these are the men. These are the fighting men were arranged. And then notice like on top it says the camp of Dan, but then there's these three. Well, it's called the camp of Dan, but there's three tribes in
Yeah.
this thing, and then over here the camp of Ephraim, and there's three, you know. So these are the 12 tribes, but they're kind of really organized into
But you
four
don't
main
think they
groups.
lived with their families though?
Maybe. I mean, I just don't know. Maybe it's possible. But they're kind of getting ready for war though. That's the thing. You don't
Yeah.
like go to war with your whole family. They,
No, well,
they wait
not,
at home.
yeah, but I mean like to live with them, eat with them, that kind of thing.
Yeah, generally speaking. Yeah, yeah. When they're not actually kind of fighting and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, maybe not. Let me start again. Now Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, "The sons of Israel shall camp each by his own standard. With the banners of their fathers' households, they shall camp around the tent of meeting at a distance. Now those who camp on the east side toward the sunrise shall be of the standard of the camp of Judah by their armies, and the leader of the sons of Judah, Nashon, the son of Amminadab. So Nashon would be like the commander of this army in a
Yeah.
way, right? Um, or there's different military terms for commanders, captain, whatever, and his army, um, even their numbered men. Now, different translations, you might see the word host or something,
Mm.
um, numbered men, 74,600. So it almost sounds like it's only the fighting man kind of right now they're talking about the
Yeah.
soldiers. Those who camp next to him shall be the tribe of Issachar, and the leaders of the sons of Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, and his army, even his numbered men, 54,400. Then the tribe of Zebulun, and the leader of the sons of Zebulun, Eliab, the son of Helon, and his army, even his numbered men, 57,400. The total of the numbered men of the camp of Judah, 186,400 by their armies. They shall set out first.
Yeah.
Okay, so these three groups would total this number, and they'll set out first. And they call this the camp of Judah,
Yeah.
even though there's like three tribes there. Okay. On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben by their armies, and the leader of the sons of Reuben, Eliezer, the son of Shedur, and his army, even his numbered men, 46,500. And those who camp next to him shall be the tribe of Simeon, and the leader of the sons of Simeon, Shelumiel, the son of Zurishadai,
Hmm.
Zurishadai, and his army, even their numbered men, 59,300. Then the tribe of Gad, and the leader of the sons of Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Deuel, and his army, even their numbered men, 45,650. The
Okay,
total of the
how
numbered
do you
men,
define the 50 there?
again, just
A little
another a
limbo.
smaller unit. It's a we're not sure, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But 50 people. That's one theory. That's one. That's what everyone assumes. I would say maybe even a smaller unit or even 5 people. Um,
Okay,
you know, it's we just don't know exactly how they organize their military.
all right.
But that's the only case we have a 50, and it still ends with a 0. And then that throws that now we have a 50 in the total because of that one.
Mhm.
That's the only one that has a 50. The total of the numbered men of the camp of Reuben, 151,450 by their armies, and they shall set out second. Then the tent of meeting shall set out with the camp of the Levites in the midst of the camps, just as they camp, so they shall set out every man in his place by their standards. So basically, like this whole that whole photo I just showed you, they're going to move like that
Yeah,
through the desert. They're going to keep their formation because they're protecting the tabernacle from the
okay.
from the outside world. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim by their armies, and the leader of the sons of Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud,
Good.
and his army, even their numbered men, 40,500. Next to him shall be the tribe of Manasseh, and the leader of the sons of Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur, and his army, even their numbered men, 32,200. Then the tribe of Benjamin. Do you want me to read all this?
Yeah.
Are you getting bored? I can read all of it. It's fine. And the leader of the sons of Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gideoni, and his army, even their numbered men, 35,400. The total of the numbered men of the camp of Ephraim, 108,100 by their armies, and they shall set out third.
Okay,
Okay,
so
now
wait.
what?
If you're doing 108.1 units,
No. That's
what
not
is a third?
108.1.
Well,
Well,
okay,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing is
let's
that
just
if
say it's 108 right now. Platoons, units, whatever, right? 108 units. Set out one third of
yeah,
that, which would be what?
1/3 of 108,
Yeah,
about 35,
so
36, something
35
like that.
units, right? Right?
What do you mean? Well, right here we have 35. Here's 40 units. I would say this is 40 units, and this could be 5 different units.
Yeah, I'm just reading the last count up.
32 units and 35 units. You add them up. But see, I would say they added these up as actual numbers.
Yeah, so it's 108 units, right?
Yeah, that would be the total. I didn't add up all these myself, but I'm assuming that's what it is. 32
Yeah,
plus
that's what it is.
40.
Because if you count 500 plus 200,
Yeah.
400. So
Yeah. That
yeah.
adds. We're going to see one that doesn't add up in chapter 3, actually. That'll
Okay.
freak you out.
But one third of 108 is roughly 35, you said?
I would say that's 108 units of roughly 10 to 15 people each. If you just use 10 to keep it simple, it'd be 1,080 people, plus this other 100, which is a bit of a mystery. Either some people would say, yeah, so that's the total. But see, I would look at these, and then this one might not be added up accurately. If they didn't understand what these meant, they're going to come up with
But okay, so all I'm doing, it's about 300 some people, right? That one third of, if you're doing it by units.
why are you using 1/3? No. They shall set out third. They're the
What does
third
that
group to
mean?
leave. Why are
Oh,
you
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about one
Okay,
third?
never mind. I
Yeah.
thought it
Don't worry
said
about
the
that.
third of them will set out, but
No. They're
they're
the
just
third
going
group
out
to
third.
leave.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
all right.
order. Now there's one
Got
more
it.
group here. On the north side shall be the standard of the camp of Dan by their armies, and the leader of the sons of Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, and his army by their numbered men, 62,700. Those who camp next to him shall be the tribe of Asher, and the leader of the sons of Asher, Pagiel, the son of Ochran. And his army, even their numbered men, 41,500. Then the tribe of Naphtali, and the leader of the sons of Naphtali, Ahira, the son of Enan. And his army, even their numbered men, 53,400. The total of the numbered men of the camp of Dan was 157,600. They shall set out last by their standards. Okay, so they're the last ones to set out. And these are the numbered men of the sons of Israel by their fathers' households. The total of the numbered men of the camps by their armies, 603,550, which is the same number we saw before. The Levites, however, now these are the fighting men though, right? So the
Yeah.
Levites are extra people. They're right.
Yeah.
The Levites are not included in this number, are they?
No.
And they're going to be numbered in the chapter 3. The Levites, however, were not numbered among the sons of Israel, just as Yahweh had commanded Moses. Thus the sons of Israel did according to all that Yahweh commanded Moses. So they camped by their standards. So they set out everyone by his family according to his father's household.
So what do they
Wow,
mean by their standards?
okay. Let's all right. What I have to do there is this thing here, Hebrew. In some translations, they're going to have a different word for this, right? Standards is, this is so small, I can't even see it. Standards.
But it doesn't have a definition on that one. It
Oh,
just
no,
says,
it does. It does if I right click on it.
thing.
Okay, standard. Degel. Degel is the Hebrew. You know what it says? Banner. It says like a banner.
Yeah. Well, that don't make sense. Camp by their banner.
But a banner is really a symbol of an army. Oh, it says here, an ensign on a pole for identification of a tribe or special group for rallying or
I mean,
organization
their
of
flag?
groups.
Did they
A
get
flag. It's a flag. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically a flag of, yeah, by their
But they
flags.
use standards up top too. So let's go back. So you
Yeah,
know how
yeah. It
finding
said it
them,
every single time. It wrote this every time.
yeah.
It wrote it many times, I guess you could say.
So it was trying to say they shall set out their flags. That doesn't make sense either.
Well, I mean, a flag represents a group. I would to me, it sounds more like an army, to be honest. But I mean, that's what the definition says. What you'd have to do is look at how this word's used, how the Hebrew word is used throughout the Bible, and because for me, I don't always trust every definition I use.
Well, let's find
I
another
see. It's only used. It's used. Okay, there's 14 verses where it's used. It's used in the book of Numbers only.
Yeah. So I'm
There's
wondering,
one. It's in the Song of Solomon once, where it says his banner over me is love. Interesting. We're going to see this word a lot, so don't worry. I wouldn't worry about that too much. I mean, for me, it didn't grab.
well,
It's
the only reason
let's see
I'm
what yeah.
is because he kind of gave it prioritized which army would go first, second, and last. So I'm wondering
Yes.
if he kind of like, the very front line, the very first group always dies first, right?
So the Judahites were first.
Yeah.
Judah.
But he loves Judah though. So
Oh, look at this. King James also says standards. Is
yeah,
this
even the NIV says standards and nobody's budging on that one.
really interesting?
Trying to find
Look at
any
that.
others. Yeah, they all say that. Let me see what the World Bible people say.
Well, it involves a flag. I
So
don't know.
nobody defined it anything different than standards. They all
Yeah.
chickened out.
Well, no,
Usually,
I don't. I mean, it's a, we're talking about an ancient army and their ancient culture, how they did things. We still have, the American flag, and militaries use similar things today, I'm sure.
oh yeah, but I mean like definition, you know how every translation tries to redefine the words a little? Um,
Uh,
but they all kept using standards, except this one,
yeah.
I don't see it.
But again, I mean, it's a good example of a word that we don't really know what it means today because it's a bit of it's a technical military term for one thing. Um, I'm not sure if, let's see here.
And the Wycliffe Bible doesn't even want to say it at all. They just deleted it out of theirs.
Uh,
Um,
yeah. Um,
okay, so we're just gonna assume it's some sort of tribal banner or flag to represent them.
yeah. Yeah.
And then who got to go last, which was,
That was these guys here. Uh,
oh, it is flags.
yeah.
I found a version that says flags. New Life version. They will, so
They simplify it. Yeah. Some of these Bibles will simplify the word for a lower reading
yeah,
level.
they will be the last to move on with their flags. So that was
Yeah.
verse 31.
That seems to be what it means.
So we'll go with flags.
Yeah.
Does that make sense with flags? I think we came
Yeah.
up with flags on our own, right?
Which is pretty cool in a way. I don't know if it tells us what was on the flag. Maybe there's a
What was
lion
their
on Judah.
signia? I'm sure they had a signia, right?
Yeah, they did. Yeah. It's like the Game of Thrones, right? You ever see that?
Yeah.
They all have their thing, the banner. They call it the banner, I think, in that it could be a
Okay,
banner.
so that makes
Banner.
sense.
In fact, I think that's what the dictionary said, even banner.
Yeah,
Um,
which is really just a flag, right?
banner. It does say banner in this thing here. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
then I wonder if there's any symbols.
it's a sign. It's also, it's really a sign that they are part of God's army and they're part of this specific tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we know. I mean, there probably are places where they tell us what was on their banner. I'm guessing. It sounds somewhat familiar to me. I haven't thought about this before, so we'll look out for it.
You
Maybe
know,
they'll.
if you Google it, people have come up with some sort of symbology.
Okay. Anything
Um,
cool? Anything you want to screen share?
I don't know if it's accurate to screen share, but they kind of look like part of the zodiac in a way. Could that have been it?
Isn't there 12 signs of the zodiac or something?
Yeah,
There have been theories about that. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, God created the stars, right? God created the
right.
zodiac. So that would kind of symbolize God's power and that Israelites were God promised to Abraham that his descendants would be like the stars. So his descendants
Yeah.
would be like the zodiac. I mean, you got to be careful. You don't want to get too like new agey, but
But I want to
yeah, I
share this
mean,
one.
God created the stars and God created the zodiac, really, if you think about it, right? All right, chapter 3. Now these are the generations of Aaron and Moses at the time when Yahweh spoke with Moses on Mount Sinai. Then these then are the names of the sons of Aaron, Nadab the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the anointed priests, whom he ordained to minister as priests. I'm going to highlight anointed as well. So these are like the other Levites are really not called priests, actually, right?
No,
So not every Levite is actually a priest.
only the sons of Aaron,
Yeah, yeah. And then there's like the top priest is a high priest, but
which was
that's I
established
guess
in Leviticus.
yeah. I used to think it was like all Levite because you hear the word Levite priest, right? So everyone in the
Yeah.
tribe of Levite must be a priest, but they're more like deacons. They're more like assistants and helpers and staff.
Yeah.
but they are kind of they're given an extra holy status to get closer to to touch. You know, they can kind of get close to the tabernacle, and some of them have to actually touch certain parts of it to move it around.
Yeah, they had a lot of
Um,
responsibilities to take care of the tabernacle and anoint, deal with the people as they were
and that,
coming in.
yeah, and it was a very serious thing, which we're going to see in this one here. So,
Yeah,
um, okay, ordained to be to minister as priests. All right, so Nadab and Abihu died before Yahweh when they offered strange fire. Remember that incident?
yeah.
Which was in let's see here. Somewhere else. Somewhere was that in Exodus? That was in um where was that? Do you
What do you
remember?
mean strange fire?
That was Leviticus 10. Let's just let me just check into that real quick. Leviticus 10. Is that right? Yeah, right here. You see that?
Yeah,
Nadab and
oh
Abihu
yeah, they got
offered
in
strange
trouble with,
fire. Strange, you can't mess with
yeah,
the strange fire.
they were doing incense, I think.
They took their
So,
respective fire pans and put them fire in them, and they placed incense on it and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he had not commanded them.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they
So
were killed.
doing some tricky stuff. They were
That's amazing.
bypassing the normal ritual to,
Oh, yeah. See, look at this. Fire came out from before Yahweh and consumed the burnt offering. This is the real offering here.
yeah,
And then these
they
guys,
bypassed it to do the incense.
they were doing some magic. They were like it was like a kind of divination that was not authorized by God,
Right. So they were
which
dead.
happens a lot. There's a lot of denominations that practice, I would say, well, I don't want to get too controversial here. I don't know what
But they died.
I don't know your beliefs about everything, but I think there's I've witnessed divination in church before, which I
Yeah,
think
I've
was
seen
a
it
bit
too.
strange. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
it's pretty strange. I mean, I guess you could say there's a fine line between prayer and divination. I don't know, but
Well,
sometimes it seems
unfortunately,
a
a
little
lot of the
strange.
modern churches are taking practices from new agey stuff or occult stuff. I've
Yeah.
even seen like churches use tarot cards, but would put their uh, Christianese into it, but they were still tarot cards to do the readings.
Wow. Yeah, I
So
went to wow, that's amazing. In church or
yeah,
in a Christian setting. Tarot cards. That's
yeah,
bizarre.
I've seen everything. I mean, I think,
I bet, yeah. I went to a bookstore the other day and they had a whole section on tarot cards and magic.
yeah. And magic, the idea of magic is getting very popular now. They like it.
It's it's interesting because everyone's kind of searching for some kind of spiritual, connection or something, but they always kind of choose the wrong way, you
Yeah,
know.
because
There's very few pure atheists. Most people kind of believe in something, you
right.
know. Even the Canaanites back here in the story, they believed in something, they had their gods.
Yeah, even the choice of saying that they don't believe in God is still a belief because they
You
would
know,
have to
yeah.
ignore what God has put in their hearts, what He's shown them everywhere. You would have to
Yeah.
hear that.
The
So that's a religion in itself, right? What they don't
there
believe.
the Christians were called atheists by the Romans because they didn't believe in the Roman gods.
Right. Well,
But
that's
why so
everybody has their own.
so it's let's just read this here. This is still Leviticus 10. By those who come near me, I will be treated as holy, right?
Yeah.
And before all the people, I will be glorified. See?
Yeah.
Wow. And I
Well,
mean,
that's,
he killed two sons of Aaron.
yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Because he doesn't want his name or his glory undermined in any way.
And there's more discipline for those in that position. Like that's a very
Yeah.
serious position. It's just like you see all these pastors, they're like dropping like flies lately. You've seen that? They're all like all these scandals, which I've seen in my church I used to go to last year. They had a huge scandal there too. So I left. I
Yeah.
had to leave that church.
So
They
do
were
you
doing
think,
strange fire, man.
do you
Really
think all
strange.
these priests and churches today, like, are they really anointed by God? Like, how do we know? Because
No, most of
we
them are
knew
not.
that in the Bible. We knew the sons of Aaron, the one he anointed, we knew them. They had like a whole ritual thing and what they had to do. But today we have no idea,
Well,
right?
there's some criteria, like in the New Testament, it's that, these guys, they should be blameless and all this stuff.
Yeah,
And
perfect kids, perfect life,
um
perfect life.
perfect, they have to be perfect.
Yeah,
But
but
that's the
they're
thing, is
not.
like who can actually, who can measure up to that standard, really?
No one.
Um yeah,
I mean,
it's a
they
serious
maybe they
responsibility.
could at the beginning of the church, but I think it looks really, really hard today.
Even the Apostle Peter, he made many mistakes.
Yeah.
Um so
And all
yeah,
the
but
denominations, I mean, something happened to have a gazillion denominations. So that
yeah.
can't be anointed, right? To have all those.
Yeah, I mean, the Pope is not anointed, but they believe the Pope is the authority, right? The Roman Catholic
Right.
Church.
Millions of them. So,
Billion, yeah, almost a billion.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of it. Like prophecy says, there will be a great apostasy. So it could be all these fake churches are part of that great apostasy. That's kind of what my pastor
Absolutely.
says. Yeah. So we're in a way, it's not a bad thing. We see the apostate church, the fake
Yeah.
church. We
Yeah.
see it. Most churches are, unfortunately. In my opinion, I would say, you have to be very careful going to a church.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
you know,
Because I
uh,
learned that lesson now.
I did too.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I experienced it, because now I know kind of like
Right.
what they're like. I know what they're like, and it was pretty
And they can
amazing.
do a lot of damage because they can spiritually manipulate you to
I think it's
do
satanic.
false
It's kind
things.
of part of it's the fallen state of man, original sin,
Right.
but part of it's also, you know, that would be, if I were Satan, right? That would be one of the main strategies, is set up fake churches so they kind of think they're saved, they think they're Christian, and they're
Yeah.
really not. So they're not. So like Satan's got them.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
great
And I think,
strategy.
God, somebody said something brilliant and I don't remember who or why, but he said, oftentimes these things are put in place for God is like kind of doing that on purpose just to test their heart. Like if they
We're
believe in
tested, yeah,
false things, then he gives them over to those false things. Like I think it
yeah,
is actually
totally.
plain to everybody, but they refuse the
It's
truth
a
and start going into these other things.
it's a kind of judgment on them. They're kind of getting what they deserve. They're kind of getting what they want, you could say. They
Right.
don't want the
Yeah.
truth. They want the lies, so that's what they get, and they're kind of getting punished in a way. It's pretty clear in the certain parts of the
Yeah. It's
Bible.
it's kind
Yeah,
of like he allows them to go in their different beliefs
yeah, he just lets them
to
go.
show their
Do
heart. Yeah.
That's what you want to do. Go do it, and it's not, things are not gonna end well for you, but that's what you want. You know.
Yeah.
And like people like us, I mean, we try to help them, right? But they don't want to hear it. They just
Right.
don't want to hear it.
Because their heart has to be open. Not only
Yeah.
open, but they have to want the truth. I
And I
think
think
God has
I mean,
given
I think
everybody
God
the
does
truth.
that. Yeah, God hasn't you know touched their hearts, maybe,
Right.
for whatever reason. Yeah, yeah,
Or, well, he does have an open invitation, right? Anyone who believes. John.
yeah. But he said, I mean, there's different theories about that. Like the more reformed view would be that we're all in a state of depravity. And in that state, we cannot reach out to God first. God has to kind of reach out to us first. Um,
Well, he does
I,
choose his sheep. I
yeah,
mean, I think uh he does choose you first, but then your heart still has to be open to receive it. Kind of like in any normal relationship. If a person comes up to you, it's like, oh, like maybe they approach you and like you, but you still have to accept that person the same way, right? Otherwise, it never happens. So he never takes away the free will. So God just like just, and it's different for everybody. He shows up, and then you're like,
yeah.
it's God, and eventually you realize it's God, but then you still have to say to yourself, yes, Otherwise,
Yeah.
a lot of people ignore that and they hate God, because I've seen that too, where they're always constantly making war and choosing what the world offers over that. And some even say, yeah, I had one person say, I want my sin more than I want Christ, because they didn't want to give that up. So I think it's a choice.
Yeah. 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 And there's kind of can be a process as well. Um, where it takes people a while. Like, I mean, for me, it was kind of like that. I didn't, like looking back, I should have become a more like legitimate Christian when I was about 21 years old.
Yeah.
But I kind of was, but I didn't really understand it. That's the thing. No one really sat down and like explained it all to me. And so I was still had like one foot in the world and, one foot with Jesus, but I was kind of like, wasn't sure. I was never, so I kind of went astray in my 20s. I was like the prodigal son.
Well, you did return, so we're happy for that.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
kind of what happened to me too, because I didn't grow up in a Christian household, so I didn't actually
Yeah, I didn't either.
acknowledge it till I was like 33. But
Oh, 33.
I,
Can't say that word.
but I think I was in the heart, I was probably always a Christian. I just didn't know.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, I think I was too. I think I was too. I was kind of denying it.
Yeah. All
So
right,
anyway,
let's
Strange
read.
Fire.
I know, we
In
got
fact, there's a book by I think it's John MacArthur. He had a whole thing about the Pentecostals and all that. He called it Strange Fire, actually.
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
what do you believe in, like all those different, I don't even know all those denominations, to be honest. Because
I
I've,
have some beliefs,
like,
but yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the Pentecostals. Let's just put it that way.
but
Oh,
now I've
that's as
heard
nice
they
as I can say it.
they call us Protestants. Are we Protestants?
Well, I mean, you have to answer that for yourself. But yeah, I'm Protestant, and I would say I'm even Reformed.
Well, I don't even
Yeah,
know what it means, so I'm gonna
but
say,
even a Pentecostal would say they're Protestant. I mean, if you're basically most Christians these days are, Protestants, unless you're Roman Catholic or Eastern Orthodox,
yeah.
or I mean, you're going to be Protestant, I guess. Those are kind of the three main groups, unless I'm forgetting something. But then within the Protestants, there's all these different denominations. So,
But why can't I be without denominations? Why do I have to
well,
have?
there's a lot of non-denominational churches out there, but yet if you look closely at the fine print, they're kind of associated
Protestants?
with the denomination. That's the church history thing. That's a whole different topic
Yeah.
that talk about that another
All
time.
right, let's continue.
Strange fire. They offered strange fire before Yahweh in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. So Eleazar and Ithamar ministered as priests in the lifetime of their father Aaron. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Bring the tribe of, it's actually more like Levi, I think,
Mhm.
or we can say Levi, whatever you want to say, but tribe
I
of
like to do that.
Levi near, bring the tribe of Levi near and have them stand before Aaron the priest that they may minister to him. Okay, so the tribe of Levi coming before Aaron the priest. I'm going to
Mhm.
highlight that so we know Aaron is the priest. And they shall keep his responsibility and the responsibility for the whole congregation before the tent of meeting to perform the service of the tabernacle. They shall also keep all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, along with the responsibility of the sons of Israel to perform the service of the tabernacle. You shall thus give the Levites to Aaron and his sons. They are wholly given to him from among the sons of Israel. So they're all the Levites kind of work for Aaron basically and for
Yeah,
God to so you shall appoint Aaron and his sons that they may keep their priesthood. So Aaron and his sons are the priests,
yeah,
but the outsider who comes near shall be put to death.
yeah.
What did I write there? Yeah, so I mean it's pretty harsh. I mean
Yeah,
from our perspective today.
right.
We don't really have capital punishment in the church these days.
But you know what else is kind of interesting is that since they had the priesthood and those that were ministering and doing the work of God, anyone outside of that was considered unclean, basically, to be put to death, right? So they would never have allowed, it says outsider who comes near. So like
Oh,
outsider
yeah.
meaning outside of Israelites or outside meaning any of the other tribe people.
Any of the tribes as well. Yeah. If
Wow.
a guy from the tribe of Judah comes near the tabernacle, and if these guys were like holding guns, they would just shoot him. They didn't have gun. I don't know how they killed him. Maybe with swords, I guess. It was
Yeah,
probably judicial execution. Probably there's probably they didn't just individually run out and kill him. They probably had a little committee and stuff, but it was illegal. I mean, it's very legal. There's a lot of this is kind of legal as well. It's because this comes right
so
after Leviticus. This is like legal military kind of stuff.
yeah. So doesn't this sound like kind of like the White House where the protection of no-fly zone?
If you
So
try walking to the White House and let's see what's going to happen. Try breaking into the. Didn't they just shoot someone a couple of years ago who tried to do that?
I guess
That's a great
um,
point. I didn't even think about that.
so it's kind of like just protecting the
We do
tabernacle.
it today. We do it today, right? If you
Yeah,
try to walk inside the gate of the White House,
it's
just a
not gonna
common
happen.
regular person, you're gonna get shot. You're gonna get
Yeah,
put to death. You're gonna
yeah,
get arrested, but if you resist too much, you're gonna get shot, especially if you're carrying a gun or something. I think they did
yeah,
that a few years ago. I remember seeing something
yeah.
like that.
Somebody then ran in or something. Yeah,
Yeah, every once well, whether it's real or not, who knows? But
yeah.
yeah, that's pretty interesting. And even the capital of these states now are all walled off and stuff
Oh
because
yeah, they're
yeah.
heavily. You wouldn't believe it. So I have to tell you, I got to do a little diversion. So I live close to a university, whatever they're called, the head of university people, president, whatever. So he lives in a nearby neighborhood.
The dean,
Okay, the dean.
the dean. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I don't understand, so they've been guarding his house, the perimeter. They blocked off the street. They put
Wow.
those concrete barriers all the way around. They have police station, police guard all the time. They got a tent. So any car that wants to come visit, they check the underneath, blah, 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 right? They set up a special tent. They got cameras everywhere. They got signs everywhere that this is being heavily monitored, like more like almost like a president of the United States is somehow living in this place, but I don't think so. But so I don't understand. It's been going on for months. So it's must cost like thousands and thousands a day to do this, right? So
Is it a
who
big
can do,
university?
I mean, any average university, there's so many of them here. So it's not like it's a big
Well, do you
deal.
know which university it is?
It is, but I'm close to
Is
it. So I won't say a name.
Oh,
Um,
okay. But that's pretty amazing though. But I wonder if maybe there's like controversy. I mean, everything's so controversial these days, right? Um,
yeah, but who
that's
can
pretty wild. Maybe
afford
they
this
threatened
kind
them.
of,
I
yeah,
mean, part of
likely.
it is, I mean, I know, the state where you live in, where I'm from, is now it's basically a lot of crazy stuff going on there.
Oh, I
Uh,
know.
it's a it's a trans, what do they call those? Refuge state? Is that the right
Oh,
word?
oh yeah, I know.
Refugee? It's
Yeah.
a
What is it?
sanctuary.
Sanctuary, yeah, yeah.
It's a trans,
Which
it's a
anything goes.
sanctuary state
Yeah. And that was the
for
other thing, like all these brand new buildings are coming up, which nobody can afford. So I don't know who actually lives there because it wasn't for the people that already were here.
and
Um,
the governor puts tampons in the boys' bathrooms at
oh
schools,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. The
Which
crazy one.
is and it's like that's an act of tyranny is what it is because like they know like it's ridiculous, but it's like it's power. It's like I'll show you how much power we have over you. We will do incredibly stupid, insane
It is
things, and there's
power.
nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
It's
you
evil.
can't.
It's evil. What it is evil.
Yeah.
People, because normal people will say, "Oh, that's insane. That's crazy," but what it really is evil.
Not only it's evil, but it's evil using people's money to gain that power and do evil, which is
Yeah,
worse because ultimately, when you keep on mishandling the money and that they're supposed to be our entrusted leaders and we're guided to pray over them and follow them, right? That's one
Re-
of our
Remember
commandments.
in the book of Exodus, Jethro advised Moses to set up like a government or a Supreme Court kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
To help him judge, to help him lead the people. And they were
right.
supposed to be righteous people, people
Yeah,
who could not be
exactly.
bribed, people who had righteousness and justice, because
Right.
that's what God wants. God's a God of justice. That's one of
Have
it,
that. I think that's why he did that whole book to
it's all about
establish.
justice.
Yeah. And that
Um,
theme has been carried out throughout from beginning to this
and
point.
God wants us to be people who are treat people fairly, and but yet, yeah, the leaders we have today are not just
So
people. They're
corrupt.
unrighteous, they're evil, they're
Yeah.
wicked people, evil, wicked people. And that guy in particular might be the next vice president.
Oh no, don't say that. I think he is picked with, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, he's
Kamala
vice
Harris.
president under Kamala,
Yeah,
who they may be selected. I think they're going to be selected, not elected, but
yeah,
selected.
for sure. Well,
Get
let's,
ready for some more tribulation coming your way,
I
our
know.
way, everyone's way. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's
if it
keep reading.
happens, it'll be the whole world. All right, let's keep going. Maybe
Um,
the sanctuary for us in the inner
verse
circle.
12. Wait, verse 12. Okay, now behold, I have taken the Levites from among the sons of Israel instead of every firstborn. Remember that the first offspring of the womb among the sons of Israel, so the Levites shall be mine. So what's happening here is that, well, I'll read again. For all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified to myself all the firstborn in Israel, from
From
man to
man to
beast,
beast.
animals and people. They shall be
Yeah.
mine. I am Yahweh. So they belong, the firstborn child, is it
Belong to
sons? I
God.
don't know if it's daughters or sons, but they belong to God. So they were really supposed to do what the Levites are doing,
Yeah.
from all firstborn of all the people from all the tribes. But what he's doing now, he's switching it. He's saying, okay, instead of the firstborn, let's just have the Levites do it.
So on the
Maybe
previous verse, I think it means both because it's, I've taken Levites among the sons of Israel instead of every firstborn.
yeah, they change. He's kind of they're switching roles
Yeah. Well,
instead
at
of
least in
yeah,
that, instead of would mean either, because if they
in
were
place
just
of.
males, you would have just said firstborn.
Yeah, all these Levites here are all men, right? It's the male Levites
Yeah. Well,
because they
no,
would have had. I think so.
I- no, I think that is just a certain tribe, both men and women. But he chooses the sons to be the priest.
Well, there's only the family of Aaron are the priests, but these Levites are like the helpers. But I think these are all men, and we're gonna see him actually count these people. So we'll
All
find
right.
out in a minute.
I think they're an actual tribe, though.
No, the Levites are a tribe, but
Yeah.
I think in context, I don't think like what do the females in the tribe of Levi do?
I mean, they're just
Um,
wives, so
yeah, I mean,
give birth to the Levites. You
yeah,
can't have more Levites without them.
no, no, there's definitely females in the tribe of Levi, but do they have a specific role that's unique and different than the other women in the other 11
Oh,
tribes?
I don't remember if they were
Uh,
separate.
we'll find. It's just a
Yeah.
question. We'll find out. So anyway, well, it tells us right here, in fact, a lot of our questions are like answered immediately if we just keep reading. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, Number the sons of Levi, the, the
Yeah.
sons, by their fathers' households, by their families, every male, again, if you're not quite sure, every
Yeah.
male from a month old and upward you shall number. So now they're numbering even little babies,
Hmm.
number every male from a month old,
Yeah.
the sons of Levi. Okay. So Moses numbered them according to the word of Yahweh, just as he had been commanded. Moses, very obedient, very good. Then there are the sons. These then are the sons of Levi by their names. Okay, so there's sons of Levi. Levi had three sons, Gershon and Kohath and Merari. And then these guys also had a bunch of
Mhm.
children, right? These are the names of the sons of Gershon. So we're going to talk about Gershon first.
Mhm.
And that's, remember back to that photo I showed before, that there was there was three different groups of Levites.
Yeah.
So that's, which is these guys here. Gershon by the families, Libni and Shimei, and the sons of Kohath by their families, Amram and Izhar, Hebron and Uziel, and the sons of Merari by their families, Mali and Mushi.
Mushy.
These are these are the families of the Levites according to their father's household. Of Gershon was the family of the Libnites and the family of the Shimeites.
Simeonites.
Shimeites. These
Yeah.
were the families of the Gershonites. They're numbered men in the numbering of every male from a month old and upward, even their numbered men were 7,500. So this is just from this group here, the Gershonites were 7,500, or
Mhm.
as I would say, 7 units, I believe.
Mhm.
Even although, see, this is well, okay, let me finish this part. The families of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle westward, and the leader of the fathers' households of the Gershonites was Eliasaph, the son of Lael. The question here for me is this a military context or not? Because these guys they're not really soldiers, but yet they are protecting the tabernacle within in the center of a military unit. You know what I mean?
But aren't they counting babies? They were
Yeah,
counting
yeah, yeah. So
all the
these are not
time.
they're not soldiers, but they're kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, overall the whole thing, all the 12 tribes are kind of treated like an
But they were
army.
never going to be soldiers. Remember,
Yeah, so they're
Levites were
counting some.
excluded.
They're not soldiers in the normal sense, but they're kind of like
I think he's trying
it's
to
like a
use,
holy, they're holy. It's a spiritual warfare kind of soldiers, you know what I mean? They're protecting
uh,
they are authorized to kill people.
maybe if they
No, it
were
just said
going
right
to
here.
defend
It just
themselves.
said right here. Put to death. Any outsider who
Oh,
comes near
well,
shall be
yeah.
put to death. They are
Okay.
allowed to kill people.
All right. They love,
They're commanded to kill certain people if they come near the White House.
yeah.
Or
They're
the,
like the Secret Service.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so there's a bit of a military aspect to it, but that's,
Yeah.
anyway, that's just a side note uh for me. All right, so that's the Gershonites. That's their job, or that's they're counting the Gershonites there.
Yeah.
Responsibilities of the priests. Okay, now the responsibility of the sons of Gershon, this tells us what they're going to do in the tent of meeting, involved the tabernacle and the tent, its covering, and the screen for the doorway of the tent of meeting. Okay, so these physical
So they're going to
parts,
deal with the tent.
because they have to move it around, right?
Yeah.
And the hangings of the court and the screen for the doorway of the court, which is around the tabernacle and the altar and its cords, according to all the service concerning them.
So they're
No, I
like,
don't know. I don't know why they put a heading there. That I think that's. But anyway, so the Gershonites take care of the physical parts of the tabernacle. It sounds like,
yeah,
to move it around. Only
we're
these
gonna
guys,
move it.
this one family, this one family under the Levites of
Uh,
Kohath was the family of the Amramites and the family of the Izharites and the family of the Hebronites and the family of the Uzielites. These were the families of the Kohathites. In the numbering of every male from a month old and upward, there were 8,600, keeping the responsibility of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath were to camp on the southward side of the tabernacle, and the leader of the fathers' households of the Kohathite families was Elizaphan, the son of Uziel. Now, their responsibility involved the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, and the utensils of the sanctuary, with which they minister, and the screen, and all the service concerning them.
So
And
not to
Eleazar.
deviate from my position, but I think that paragraph at least helps your argument that there weren't 8,600 people to move
Oh,
around
really?
and lamp and all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't. That's a good one. Hey, man, that's
So
pretty
you can use
impressive. You would
that
you would you
one.
would you would you would find a supporting argument for the opposing side.
I
That's pretty
know.
amazing.
Yes, and if you
Um,
find one, you'll have to tell me.
I'm gonna make a note of that. I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was they don't need how many people did they have? 8,600
8,600.
to do this job. I think I thought of that before, but I just didn't remember it. That's a good point. Um, yeah, they really don't, right? Because they kind of tell us how big the tabernacle is and stuff when they made it.
Yeah,
Um, let's see here. Okay, I think I'm here now.
but I
The
haven't
ark.
let go of my position yet.
No, don't think about it. You don't have to. I mean, it's still, like I said, it's been going on for hundreds of years, and
Well,
there's no consensus.
I gotta trust what the word says, otherwise,
Ask the Holy Spirit to come help you.
yeah, I know.
And
Okay.
Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, was the chief of the leaders of Levi and had the oversight of those who keep the responsibility of the sanctuary. Okay, so this guy's kind of like the boss of these Kohathites, right?
Yeah.
Eleazar is the boss of Merari. So here's Merari, the third clan was the family of the Mahlites and the family of the Mushites.
Mushites.
The
I
mushy
think they
guy,
were
the mushy.
Japanese.
Mushi means insect in Japanese.
Ooh, I wonder if the Mushites were part of the Levites that were now Japanese. What do you think?
Hey,
Marari.
there's there,
Marari would have been the family.
there's a rabbit trail for you.
Why
Well, I've heard, yeah, I mean, they have these red-haired people in the in Hokkaido, in northern
were
Japan.
Levites red-haired people?
They're called, I forget what they're called off the top of my head, but no, some people say they're the Edomites or something. But I have heard people trying to connect the Japanese people with people in the Old Testament somehow.
Well, I'm trying to connect all people in the Old Testament somehow. Because
Well, that's a difficult task.
because, okay, so Adam and Eve, they were our original grandparents, right? And then Noah's three sons became the second genetic pool. So all tribes came from them, one or the other. And then they got
Yeah.
split up with is it Judah that got the 12 tribes, right?
Uh,
Because it's Jacob's sons who became 12.
well, Judah was the son of Jacob.
Right. Okay, so it's Jacob with the
Jacob
12
changed his name.
tribes.
Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So the 12 tribes of Jacob are the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right. So that one it included like Japheth. Which one of the sons had Jacob? Do we know?
Jacob was the son of Isaac, wasn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, if you trace it all the way back to Shem,
Abraham.
well, the three sons of Noah.
Oh, Noah was one of them was Egypt, Mitzrayim, and I would have to look.
No, I'm just saying Shem, Japheth,
I forget.
what's the third one?
The other one was the one who was cursed. Um,
Ham. Oh,
Ham. Yeah,
Ham,
Ham.
Shem, Japheth. So uh Jacob came from one of those three sons lines, right?
Shem.
Shem. And then Shem produced Israel, which is all these tribes that we're reading now.
Yeah.
So that means the other two sons, wherever they went, they would reflect that part of the world or region or tribes.
Yeah, the Ham became the Canaanites,
Yeah.
and then the other one became Egyptians.
And through these 12 tribes is the whole world was supposed to be blessed, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
They had like a Great Commission kind of thing. They were
Yeah, they
supposed
were
to,
meant to be priests of the world, to the world,
yeah,
if
yeah.
they did
So
everything right.
yeah, God's like trying to establish his kingdom across the face of the earth,
Right.
starting with Abraham, who then, reproduced into a whole clan of people, and here they are now.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Anyway, that was a diversion. I thought maybe Jeff would
yeah,
do.
no, yeah. We'll look into it later.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
all right. So, if Merari was the family of the Malites and the family of the Mushites, these were the families of Merari. And the numbered men in the numbering of every male from a month old and upward were 6,200. And the leader of the fathers' households of the families of Merari was Zuriel, the son of Abihail. They were to camp on the northward side of the tabernacle. And the appointed responsibility of the sons of Merari involved the boards of the tabernacle. Okay, the responsibility, the boards of the tabernacle, its bars, its pillars, its bases, all its equipment, and the service concerning them. And the pillars around the court with their bases and their pegs and their cords. You know what this reminds me of is kind of like a concert, like these concerts, they go on tour and they have to
Oh,
set up
yeah.
the stage and the lighting and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Everyone has a certain job to set up all this equipment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Anyways, so and the pillars around the court with their bases and their pegs and their cords. Now, those who were to camp before the tabernacle eastward, before the tent of meeting, toward the sunrise, are Moses and Aaron and his sons, keeping the responsibility of the sanctuary for the responsibility of the sons of Israel. But the outsider coming near was to
Put
be
to death.
put to, to death. Uh, all the numbered men of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron numbered at the command of Yahweh by their families, every male from a month old and upward, were 22,000. Now, do me a favor. Do you
And
have a
how?
calculator? Do you have a
Yeah,
calculator?
I
So
do.
there's three numbers given to us. You want to start
8,600,
8,600 plus this one,
6,200,
6,200 plus, uh, wait. Did I miss one? Oh, here. This is the first one.
75, 75.
7,500 plus 8,600
I was 22,300,
plus 6,200. And what is the number here?
22,000. I missed the 300, huh?
So, so what's the total if you add those up?
22,300.
Yeah, they missed. So what's happening there?
Maybe some of them died.
Uh, well, no, they just numbered them. I mean, these are the numbers, and then they just add them up.
But something's wrong.
Yeah, I know. How can that be?
It can't unless something happened and we miss
The
something.
Bible's perfect. But remember,
It
the
should
the
be
doctrine
perfect is by God.
the doctrine of inerrancy is about the original manuscripts, not the copies,
Okay,
not the handwritten copies.
what is the original, what does the Hebrew say on that number?
It's the same thing.
22,000?
Yeah. The Hebrew, it's not an English translation issue, actually.
So then Hebrews got it wrong?
Well, remember the Hebrew we have is not the same. It's not the exact manuscript that
But they
the
do
original
have
writer.
they do have the Dead Sea Scrolls now, right? That they found.
Yeah, but Moses didn't write that. Let's just assume Moses wrote this, um, for argument's sake, and because it kind of says that basically. But um, we don't have the actual piece of paper that Moses used or the papyrus, whatever it
Well,
was.
isn't that what the Dead Sea Scrolls were?
No, it's not. No, no. Those
No?
are copies. Those are copies of copies of copies. Those are
Okay, but
copies.
those were the original thing that they found, right?
No, they found them in a cave, but they're not the original. It's not like for example, Paul, right? The Apostle Paul, he wrote a letter, right?
Yeah,
Or
we
he
don't
had
have
as a
that
secretary.
letter.
We don't
Yeah,
have the actual first hard copy letter from anything in the Bible.
yeah, but
or
Okay.
from any book in the ancient world,
But the
from
thing
any
is,
book in the
God
ancient world.
ordained all these people and throughout time, different time frame, different people to compose and put this book together. So he says it's his book, his word. So why would he mess it up?
It's not messed up.
Well, something's messed up. It's 300 off.
But okay, so there's the Hebrew version of the Bible. There's not just one Hebrew version. There's the Masoretic text, right, which is really finally compiled in about 1000 AD. There's the Dead Sea Scrolls. There's the Septuagint in Greek.
Well, what does the Dead
There's a
Sea
Latin.
Scrolls say?
I don't have that. I don't know. We don't have the. I don't know if that the complete Bible is even found in the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Okay,
But
well, I have to put a note here then.
homework.
Yeah.
Try to solve this. It's a mystery. It's an unsolved mystery. But
But
okay, so here's the theory. Here's the theory that people, the consensus view of the theory is that this number here, 8,600, that this one here, the word for 3 and 6 are very similar. If you just take out like one letter, you could confuse these. So if this were 8,300,
then everything lines up.
then it lines up. So there could have been a Hebrew scribe could have just copied it. There's lots of miscopies throughout the Bible.
I
They call them textual
understand.
variants. It doesn't change. The
Okay.
doctrine of inerrancy is about they
So
call
is
it the
there a
autographs.
word that maybe has said about 222,000? So maybe they have
No,
to come up
no,
with the exact number?
it doesn't say that, but
Yeah. Everything
uh,
else from 1 month and upward.
so again, there are textual variants throughout the Bible from different, like that's why people prefer the King James sometimes. They'll say it comes from the
Oh,
certain
what does the
Texas
King James
Receptus.
say?
They all say the same thing.
22,000? 22,000.
Yeah,
22,000, okay.
yeah, yeah. Every English Bible says the same word. There's no, and these guys knew how to do math, right? So again, that almost in a way it kind of supports my argument that there was some kind of counting system back then that got lost in translation, or not even in translation, but just culturally, they lost touch with how they used to count things.
All
And
right.
remember, the time period we're looking at here is like maybe 1300 or 1500 BC.
Mhm.
These events took place way back then. And then if there's a scribe, copying this in
What
1 or
about
2,000 years later, they might mess it up somehow.
what if it is accurate and 200 of them or 300 of them died?
But you can't count people.
I mean, by
If
the
they
time they're
died,
dead.
they wouldn't be in these numbers here if they were dead. They're not
But
counting
no,
the
no,
dead people.
because it says from a month old. So if they were older, I would agree. But it says
No,
they
no,
were
no, no.
counted from a month old. So, okay, just imagine in practical sense, okay? And keep the numbers as is without making them units. If you have a whole tribe full of people, like more than 8,000 of just males, so triple that. And if they were just hanging out from like a month old till whatever age, there's a good chance they would have been deaths among large
Yeah,
numbers.
but they're not they haven't left Mount Sinai. This is like real time. They're counting
No,
them
no, no, I'm
today,
saying just
and then
normal death.
they're writing down the number of people today, and they're not writing it like 10 years later after anyone died. Like if I counted everyone in my neighborhood right now, that's the count. That's how many people there are today, and that's the number I would write down. Maybe some of
All
them
right,
die after that, but it doesn't change the original number. No, no, no. I mean, just that's homework.
okay.
Um, that's why the textual the easiest solution is that um, somebody miscopied this number here. But again, there's just a lot of things we just don't know.
I think the
So
Bible will explain itself, what happened. So
maybe, yeah. So anyway, maybe we'll figure it out later,
can you put
but
different colors there? Like the
where?
20,000? Can you highlight it like pink or something?
Well, I know about yeah. I mean, this is yeah.
All right. Okay. Redemption.
Yeah. All right, almost finished with chapter 3 here. Now, here's another issue as well that's going to come up. Then Yahweh said to Moses, number every firstborn male of the sons of Israel from a month old and upward, and make a list of their names. Okay. And you shall take the Levites for me. I am Yahweh, instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel, and the cattle of the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the cattle of the sons of Israel. Well, that's
Okay, so
interesting.
the firstborn definition is male.
Yeah,
Because
they
it's
already
all
said
the
sons.
firstborn among the sons of Israel.
Yeah, and they told us up here, count the males.
Yeah. Well,
Um, every male, sons of Levi, every male. And they're doing physical labor, The women are not carrying around the tent poles and all that stuff.
right. I know.
So you're counting the men. So these are just the men. That means there are more Levites than what it says, right? Because these are the male Levites, but
Yeah.
they haven't counted the female Levites or the
Or even the fathers. These are only the firstborn.
no, these are all the Levites over a month old. The numbers up to this point are every male
Oh,
from
but
a month
they're
old and
the
upward. Now this is a different topic now. Now we're counting this is a different thing. Up to this point here was every Levite over a month old and upward. It says, I mean, in fact, it says male again right there, right? So
okay. All right.
anyway, so that's not a firstborn thing. Now
Yeah.
we're talking about the firstborn,
Okay.
the cattle, firstborn cattle, the firstborn sons instead of all the firstborn. So Moses numbered all the firstborn. So now it's only the firstborn.
Which should be less than the previous number if they counted every male to be 22,000, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of
Then
men.
the firstborn would be less than that number.
Yeah, like let's say, I don't know, to make it simple, you could say, let's say every family had what,
One son.
five. Well, if they all had like two sons, then there would be like half as many males. Half of them would be firstborn, half would not be firstborn, right?
Yeah, I mean the 22,000 encompassed all the males in
All
one
the
family.
males, but not all of them can be firstborn because they had
Right,
brothers, right? The
right.
second
So
born,
then,
the third. So anyway, let's see what it says.
but
And
there's a tricky number there, I guess.
well,
Well,
let's look at what this number is. And all the firstborn males by the number of names from a month old. But these are the firstborn among the sons of Israel. So all 12
oh, all of
tribes.
them. Okay.
Yeah, because they're going to switch. All the 12 tribes firstborn, the Levites are going to take that job. They're going to take on that role in place of them.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, so all the firstborn males of the 12 tribes of Israel by the number of names from a month old and upward for their numbered men were 22,273.
Mhm.
Um, then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites instead of all the firstborn among the sons of Israel and the cattle of the Levites, and the Levites shall be mine. I am Yahweh. For the redemption price of the 207. So there's 273 extra firstborn amongst the other tribes
Oh,
versus
there's
the
your other thing.
there's 200
Off number. Remember, it's no longer zero zeros.
you're
It's a
right, yeah,
precise
yeah.
number. So there, it is a precise number, no?
Well, this part here maybe, but again, this 22,000 could be 22 units It's like here's the analogy I used in my video, I think, was like a dozen eggs, right? If you're learning English as a second language, you don't know what the word dozen means. You don't know, you have to learn that it means 12. But what
Well,
if an
they would
entire
have wrote
culture,
it, they would have wrote it like 22:273, where 22 would mean whatever unit.
no, that's how we would write it today. Back then, the way they wrote it was understandable to them originally. But just think if we forgot what the word dozen meant, and then we come across it and we
Okay,
think it means 1,000, but it really means 12, our numbers are gonna be off.
but you should give me that one then.
No. This supports my theory. If we just read the whole thing,
Mhm.
for the redemption price of the 273 of the firstborn of the sons of Israel who are in excess beyond the Levites. So there's 273 more firstborn amongst the 12
Mhm.
tribes than there are amongst the Levites. You shall
Yeah,
take
we
five
put
shekels apiece.
22,000. That's what it's comparing.
Um,
22,000 versus 22,273. So there were 273 more tribal people than the Levites.
firstborn.
Firstborn. So firstborn is,
Then all the Levites. Yeah.
yeah, 22,000 of Levite firstborn versus 22,273 of Israelite firstborn. So he's saying 273 is in excess of what the Levites were counted as. That sounds pretty precise to me. I
But
think
does it
that,
make sense? That's a
well,
lot of this is a lot of firstborn sons. Just think of like,
I think this
you
goes
know,
towards my argument. You have to give me credit for that.
no, no.
Yeah, that's it. He's counting
I see it
exactly.
says 273, but if you think about the practicality of having 22,000 firstborn sons,
It makes
then
total sense when there's more than 2 million people. So all he's saying is that the overall count in excess of to Levites is 273.
um
But that doesn't make sense. So
so no wait, the main the consensus view now is that there's 600,000 adult males, right? According to
yeah,
what it said in,
but there were
or
1/3 of the
603. So there's
family group,
603,000 fighting
500.
men over the age of 20,
Yeah,
and there's 22,273 of them are firstborn. That's
yeah,
a ratio of 27 to 1.
yeah.
So for every one firstborn, there's 27 other non-firstborn men.
Well,
So
something,
that would mean that on average people had like 20 brothers, 25 brothers. And then in addition to that, a bunch of sisters. You know what I mean? Like if there's 600,000 men, but there's only 22,000 of them are firstborn, that means all the other men are not firstborn. And that means there's like 20, each man had like 25 brothers.
yeah, I know. Okay, let's just keep reading. It's about 4% of the overall. Well, okay, I'll have to look at.
No, see, if you have one system, it all kind of fits. Either way, they all fit together. Like my
Yeah, but
view
all this
works.
paragraph,
If you change all the numbers to my view, they all work. But if you look at it from your view, they all work also because every number is changing. You know what I mean? So they all have to match. But we did
right,
see
but all this
this
was
one here.
saying,
Remember, this one here is not, you know, is not correct. Um,
well,
anyway.
I don't know yet, because look,
And I'm not saying the
in verse
Bible has a
46,
mistake.
no, but look, 46 is kind of implying the exact amount that it was in excess of 22,000.
Yeah, so this is, it does say 273. Yes, it
Yeah,
does say that. But what it
so that
means
number
is
has to
that
be correct. Something else is wrong then. That 20,
something else could be wrong. Yeah, this number could be 273 could be correct.
right,
Something else could be wrong.
because
I don't think I don't think every boy had 25 brothers.
maybe they did, I don't know. I mean, that's all they
I don't
had to
think so.
do
I don't
was
think so.
make babies,
That's a stretch.
but they would have.
Keep it
Okay,
simple.
let's just keep reading. Maybe there's
You shall take 5 shekels apiece per head. You shall take them in terms of the shekel of the sanctuary. The shekel is 20 gerahs. Give the money, the redemption price of those who are in excess among them, to Aaron and to his sons. So Moses took the money of the redemption price from those who were in excess beyond the redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the sons of Israel, he took the money in terms of the shekel of the sanctuary,
so
1,365.
that's 5 times 273, right? To come
Yeah,
up with those shekels.
273 may be the right number.
It
But
has
is
to be the right.
600,000 the right number? That's the question here.
Yeah, that's the
Then,
exact amount of 5 shekels times 273 to come
yeah,
up
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to figure it out. There's 273, 5
times the
shekels
excess.
times
Yeah.
5 equals this. That's the way it
Yep.
should be, right?
So those
But what does
numbers
it
are
mean?
correct. Huh?
Oh, the numbers are correct, but what does it mean? You know what I mean? Like it does say now this one here, it does say Aleph right there.
Yeah.
So but anyway, so yeah, so these. But is the 600,000, is the 22,000 number correct? That's the issue. That's the issue. For me, that's 23 units, 23 dozen, 22 dozen, sorry.
But I used the
Um,
same word Aleph when it described the 1365 number.
that's for money.
Yeah, but see,
Sometimes
that's an exact.
Aleph does mean thousand sometimes. That's the confusion. It's like the same word, or a similar word
Well,
means
if it
thousand
means
sometimes.
1,000 here, then it's still consistent with the previous numbers.
It's consistent with these numbers in this little
And
passage
the
here, definitely.
600,000 number too.
But it's unrelated to this this 22 thing. I mean, this is a very complex. People have been looking at this for 200 years, so we're not going to figure it out in 10 minutes here, but you know what I mean?
I don't
This
know, I
issue
think I
here.
figured it out.
But these are Levites, so these are not the normal fighting men. Throughout the Old Testament, it's pretty clear that Aleph means
Well, that
military
was
unit.
their shekel inheritance that they're getting.
This is money.
They're
We're talking
still
about
getting,
shekels.
but this is excess shekels. They're still getting shekels for the 22,000
These
too.
firstborn, these are not necessarily soldiers here, right? We're not
No,
talking,
I
this is not a
understand.
military context.
Yeah,
After reading this whole
but they're
chapter, I
getting,
would say these are Levites who are not out there fighting.
they
So
don't
this is a
have to
different
fight.
context.
It's their
This is a
inheritance.
priestly context.
Yeah, like tithing, right? So,
Yeah, so that's why the numbers here are a little bit different than the other numbers in the sense that the context is slightly different. They're including
yeah, but that
children.
doesn't change just because they're military versus priests.
It
It's
does. The context changes the meaning
it's
of the
the
word.
mathematics of it.
No, if you
that-
said camp, all right, camp. If I go camping in the woods, that's still a camp. I set up camp.
And
But
guess what else?
if a military on the battlefield sets up a camp, that's a little different. You know what I mean? Same
Okay,
word.
do you see what the whole purpose here is? It says redemption price.
Let's finish the last paragraph. Then Moses gave the money to the redemption price to Aaron and to his sons at the command of Yahweh, just as Yahweh had commanded Moses. Okay. End
Yeah,
of chapter 3.
which is a bigger connection of Christ redeeming us, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is the like a penal substitution,
Yeah,
atonement, redemption.
but what
Um,
was so important of that excess to tie it to redemption price? One side.
well, because the firstborn were sanctified to Yahweh already, right? And so they were like the original Levites were the firstborn amongst all the tribes. They weren't called Levites, but they were the
They were
firstborn.
all
That was a set. They were dedicated to Yahweh already. So you can't just undo it without paying the redemption price.
They were all redeemed. This is beyond those redeemed by the Levites. So the excess was beyond the redeemed that were already
They had 273
excess.
firstborn boys who they did not have a Levite to take their place.
Right.
So they
Oh,
what do
yeah,
you do
yeah.
with,
So this
you
is
know
a
what I mean?
substitution redemption.
Substitutionary
Right.
atonement almost. So it's like
Okay.
you got these 273 people that didn't have a corresponding Levite
Yeah, I get
to
it.
take their place. So it's like, oh, what about
So
us?
God was
Do we
matching.
have to become Levites now? It's like, no, you pay the 5 shekels and then you're done. You're freed from your service. You've paid the price. You can go off to do your own thing in your tribe, go off to battle, whatever. You're not a Levite anymore. The Levites are the Levites.
No,
You
no,
paid the
no.
price. You know what I mean? By
But
Levite, I mean firstborn. You're not a firstborn anymore. You don't have the job that
oh,
a
but
real
you had it
firstborn has to
right
do.
that God was comparing the firstborn of Levites with the rest of the tribes to be a substitution uh atonement for the rest of the tribe. They had to be number one for one. And since they had excess and they didn't have a Levite for that excess, they just paid that price.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
But
So they're
what is
kind of
that?
they don't have to be they don't have to do the job they were supposed to do originally.
But why would the other Israelites be doing any of that job? That was all given to Levites anyway.
Now it's given to them right now in this chapter.
No, no,
Now that they're given this job, the other people don't have to do the job. They're given the job right here. We
but
just read
that's to
about it.
all of the Levites' sons. That's to all of the 22,000.
Yeah, the Levites are given the responsibility.
All
They're not counting the firstborn Levites.
they
They're
are.
counting the firstborn Israelites, the firstborn of the sons of Israel.
No, no, no. Okay. Let's
These are
go.
the firstborn males of the sons of Israel,
That are 22,273. I get it.
and
The
the
whole
total number of
of,
all
of
Levite
Levi,
boys, all Levite boys, not just the firstborn, are 22,000.
yeah.
Firstborn of Levites is not an issue. It's
Okay,
irrelevant.
no,
It's
I
not.
understand that, but the 22,000 Levites had a job, right, for God to do all their,
Now they have a job.
what do you mean now? They've had all of these to the previous verses. All the males were counted and they had a job to do the tent or this or that.
Yeah, right. That's what we
And
just
they
read
added
in
up to
chapter 3.
20,000. Right, but they
Yes.
added up to 22,000.
But they're given the job right now in chapter 3.
Right, but those
And
had
then
a
he's
job.
freeing the firstborn, and now he's redeeming the firstborn, and now these firstborn don't have that job anymore. They all got fired. The Levites took their job. The Levites took the job of the firstborn,
All right.
which they, so both things happen kind of at the same time, right? These are the Levites do this job, and now
Mhm,
these guys don't have to do that job anymore.
mhm.
So it's all happening at the same time, more or less.
But the 300 or the 1,365 just gave them money to do the job.
Well, it's they have to pay some kind of price. They have to be freed from, they're like
All
slaves. They're
because
like
they're
slave.
excess.
They're like, you know what it is? They're slave. The firstborn are slaves of God. And so
Yes.
if a slave
And
wants to go free, they have to buy their freedom.
yeah, but Levites could never buy their freedom. They were already
They're the slaves now. They're
redeemed.
slaves of Yahweh now.
Yeah. But the
Yeah,
1,365, because there wasn't a Levite for them, they have to pay.
exactly. Those slaves, the firstborn slaves had
I
to
think
do
this
something.
ties into the bigger picture, but I'm not quite sure how yet. This idea of redemption and having access to the ones that are redeemed, that they have to pay a price. Is that the Gentiles?
Oh, you're tying it to like Jesus?
Yeah.
Um,
Are we the excess? Because he redeemed us.
let's see here. Um, yeah. Jesus is the great suffering servant who redeemed his people. Um,
He paid the price at the cross.
It's a kind of a typology, a
Yes, but I'm trying
foreshadowing.
to figure out if we are those excess or if, because God made a very clear separation of the redeemed already through Levites, right? All of
We're the
them,
adopted sons. We're not the firstborn sons.
we're not the firstborn, are we the excess that he redeemed? That were, the price that Christ paid, is it the 1,365?
Jesus is the firstborn of all creation.
Yeah, so he would have been the high priest.
He's a priest. He's the sacrifice as well. I don't
Right,
know. It's a little too deep for me right now.
yeah,
You can think about it. Think about it. Get back to us.
all
It's
right,
but this is again the photo. So we just read about these three groups of Levites, right?
yeah.
And then here's Moses, and then, so that's basically what we just read about there. And
So are those
they're in
number
the,
matching up to 6,200,
well, these
7,500?
are right out of the Bible that we just read. So
Okay,
yeah. So again, I would say, but these are the most complex numbers, by the way, in the entire Old Testament.
so what
Because
I would have added to this chart, I would have put like the 6,200 all males, right? Not the firstborn, just males
all these are men. All the numbers are men.
in here, but on the outside, like Dan, 62,700, are they males or firstborn? No, they cannot be firstborn. So they
This
have
number
to be, yeah, all
or
these bigger
this
numbers
number, these are all men. Every number you see here is a number of a man.
of
These,
fathers, whoever, right?
no, these right here, these are all fighting men over the age of 20. These are all soldiers,
Oh, okay.
only soldiers, only male soldiers over the age of 20. But these numbers here are actually all Levites over the age of 1 month.
So when they did the firstborn of all the tribes that came out to 22,273,
The
um,
firstborn of these tribes, yeah.
so they probably need another number line just to show that. So like on the outer,
Well, that's not really. I mean, this is just a diagram of the actual physical camp.
no, I know,
Uh, the
but
firstborn, yeah. I mean, it's not really. I mean, that would be a different diagram for a different purpose.
no, I
I
like
just
this
found this
diagram.
online. There probably is a diagram about that. I just found this one online. I thought it was
No, but
kind of.
I like this one. The only thing to separate out the big numbers versus the little numbers, it would have been nice if they added one more line of adding the firstborn to each of the tribes to see how much.
Well, the Bible doesn't tell us, does it? It
Oh,
doesn't tell us. It just gives us the total number of firstborn amongst all
of
of them.
all of
We're
them.
not we're not told the breakdown per tribe,
Okay,
as far as I know. As far as what we just read so far, it wasn't there. I don't remember seeing that.
all right.
Um,
Well, you did a great job explaining all the numbers and tribes and all
yeah,
that.
but like I said, these are kind of the most complex numbers to figure out. But throughout the Old Testament, most of the numbers we're going to see later on in the Old Testament end with 3 zeros because they're talking about the actual battles, military battles. But here it's a census. They're kind of just counting everyone. But when they send people out to battle, it's like 3,000, 10,000,
Which is fine because
4,000,
you don't
and
want
it
to
all
kill
ends
them
with
all.
000. So
Yeah,
anyway, but something to think about, something interesting. Um,
but
you
if I
know,
take the face value of all these numbers, it does add up to 600, whatever.
it does, yeah. But there's also another way to, you know, even if see, the theory is that it was originally said 598 LF,
Mhm.
5 LF, 550. And so the
And these
first
are
LF
only
meant
males.
598 platoons totaling 5,550 men.
Yeah,
And then somebody kind of mistakenly added those together to create one number. But one number represents the platoons, one number represents the total number of men. That's one theory that someone else came up with. But
yeah.
my theory, I kind of lean more towards the first number is platoons, and the second number, the hundreds number, is really like a smaller division. Maybe
Mhm.
it's nobody knows for sure. Nobody knows.
But I've
exactly.
seen arguments on both sides.
Most people take these numbers literally right here. Most people, because they haven't thought about it and they don't want to think about it. You know, they think
Well,
there's
I thought about it.
2 million Israelites left Egypt,
Yeah,
and
but
every
that's
battle
great.
had like 100,000 people fighting in each battle. You
No,
know,
God
and
wouldn't send out, you don't need to send out 100,000 people. When those, unless they were big
well, it
pop.
tells us later on throughout the Old Testament, it tells us, you know, how many, a lot of times it tells us how many people went out to battle and all these things. So,
Well, we'll keep that in mind then, every time we read the numbers.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, you just keep
I
looking into
might
it.
come to your conclusion, but I'm not
Yeah.
just yet.
Don't
I
just
know,
don't believe what I say.
well, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. But I think like
Um,
when I read verses that we just read with the exact counting for the redemption price, that puts me back to like all
well,
the
that's
numbers.
kind of that's a unique passage because it's about the Levites and the children and all that stuff.
Yeah, but you can't like
Um,
do one mathematics here and then a different mathematics somewhere else when
well,
it's
if the
all
word
it's
Aleph,
doing is, huh?
no, it's context. Context determines the real definition of a word is context.
Yep. So future wars is gonna tell us.
Yeah, and
Be
also,
nice to
yeah,
know what the population sizes were for Egyptians back then and the surrounding people that they went to war with. That would have been nice. Because
well,
if,
yeah, there's estimates about all those things by people, but
well, if you
I
think
mean,
about it, if Egyptians had slaves and their population was only, let's just say, 300,000 at that time, then it would have made sense to have more Israelites than the Egyptians, right? But if the Egyptian population was in millions, then it makes total sense because they were worried about the Israelites becoming equal to them in numbers and it scared them. So then they wanted for them.
I'll try to find out how many what the population of Egypt was, or at least say what people estimate. That's all we
Yeah,
can do. We
that
don't
would,
have all the history, right? We don't have all the answers of history.
no.
Here's one more example though. Just an example I just found randomly is um for there fell of Israel 30,000 foot soldiers, right? Remember this word foot soldier, it's the same word in Hebrew as translated here, men on foot. The Hebrew is Elef Ragli, which is what it is here. That's what it says right there, Elef Ragli. It's
Mhm.
translated as foot soldiers. But so 30,000 foot soldiers died apparently in this one battle.
Right?
Well, I would say 30 platoons died.
But isn't there a historical record that can?
No, there's not a historical record of all this stuff. That's why nobody believes it.
Mhm.
There's not. The Bible is the historical record. There are some things. There are some things here and there, um, but there's not as much as we'd like to see. You can't just come out and say, "Hey, look, I found this ancient thing that proves that this is true." There's not. There's
Well,
not enough
why does it
proof.
matter if it's, I mean, it only matters to me for the glory of God, but why would it matter otherwise, whether it's 30,000 actual people or 30 units?
Well, for
So,
me, I mean, yeah, for me, I just want to be accurate, but also it shows that God. We do see the theme that there. I mean, there's a small group of in my view, or what I think the Hebrew says, there's a small group of Israelite soldiers. They're outnumbered and outsized by the Canaanites, and God led them to victory. They're the underdog.
yeah.
If there's 600,000 soldiers, they're not the underdog at all.
Uh,
They're the underdog, and God is fighting for them.
right, but couldn't that
That's
army
more
have been
theological.
brought down when they were scattered?
The
I mean, I
Israelites,
do see your point that if they were too numerous and they were
that they're
scattered
the
all over the
underdog.
world,
That we're going to see that throughout as we keep reading. The Israelites are the underdog fighting. We're going to see that in the book of Numbers, chapter
yeah.
13. It tells us that they were afraid. They were afraid to invade the land of Canaan. Why were they so afraid if they had 600,000 people?
All right, well, you're kind of swaying
Yeah,
a little bit.
yeah, there you go. Why were
Okay,
they
well,
so
we're gonna
afraid?
find an answer to this,
Why,
right?
why were they so afraid in Numbers chapter 13 to invade Canaan?
Well, when we get there, we'll figure that
And
out.
they didn't do it. That's why they were punished for. That's why the in fact the book of Numbers is where we see why they were in the desert for 40 years. It's because they were so afraid to enter.
And they were always not trusting God anyway.
They were
They were
complaining.
grumblers, complainers.
Yeah. So anyway, it's just something to think about. That's all it is. That's I'm hey,
I am going to think
some
about it 'cause
people
it's
get very
bothering me.
I
Huh?
push people's button. I tend to push buttons. Some, you know what I mean? That's
Oh,
just
that's
what I
fine.
do. I don't
No,
know. I'm
it's
not
good.
trying.
It's
I'm
good
just
to
trying to be accurate.
know.
Watch
That's
my videos. I had a video I put up already. I have other footage that I haven't compiled yet to a final. I want to make a second video about this topic
you
because
should
I
send me the
continue to look
link.
into it. I don't have all the answers, but I'm continuing to I have a channel called Mr. ETV, MRETV on YouTube.
Yep. Oh,
And
you're on YouTube now?
yeah, I put my Bible study stuff on YouTube because
Oh,
I'm hoping it will not get censored there.
well, if you
Other
stick with
stuff
the
I do,
Bible
my other
stuff,
videos, I can't put the other videos I make, I cannot put on YouTube.
no, I
So
know. That's
so
why
I think that this is the way it's turning out is that because I'm interested in in the Bible study stuff as well. And
yeah,
I might even have a totally different audience on that YouTube
you should
channel.
send me the link to the YouTube channel. I'll
I
put
will.
that video up in the description so they can watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for those who are interested in this topic, it's a little nerdy. I admit that. It's a little bit
I
of
like nerdy
a
stuff.
niche.
I
Okay,
mean,
yeah,
I
this is
do
for
want to
Bible
know the
nerds.
truth too, though. It's not,
Yeah.
I want to
I mean,
know.
it's not going to change our theology necessarily, but it's just another way to look
Well,
at
I
it.
kind of
It's like
will
for me, because
because,
most Christians will say, "Oh, there's so many people, it's a miracle they all survived." But for me, I'm thinking, no, they were so small. They were outnumbered and outsized, and it's a miracle they survived. You know what I mean?
well, God took care of them. You can go either way. One is if they were large in numbers, God provided for all those. If they were small in numbers, He protected them. So it just
Yeah.
depends on,
I think the Bible tells us more about the protection than the survival of the many of them. Because their main threat wasn't their size. Their main threat was never that, oh, we have too many people. We don't know what to do. Their main threat was they were under attack by
constantly,
other, so
which is still true. Well, He was basically took them, gathered them, trying to sanctify them, but because of their own heart and rebelliousness, like He scattered them. But He did originally intend them if they did everything perfectly.
yeah, yeah. I like, yeah, you just said they're yeah, so they're being sanctified, right?
Right.
Like God could have just wiped out everyone himself, right? By himself. Kind of
Yeah.
like the Exodus, God did everything. The Israelites didn't do anything, really. Um, but it's like, no, he wants these people to participate in establishing his kingdom.
Well, if you look at it, like even with the new heaven, new earth, with the new Israel, the 12 gates are open for people to come in. Like that is his priestly kingdom that he's going to bring back. What didn't
Yeah.
happen with the Israelites.
Well,
So all
well,
nations are going to go through those gates and they have to keep that festival of the tabernacle or something. They have to bring something every year or they don't get rain.
well, we
So
do, yeah, we didn't, yeah, we do see this 12 tribe symbolism in the very end of the book of Revelation again,
right.
which we didn't look at yet. We can look at that one of these times.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah,
would love to look at the whole book of Revelation. We may have to do that in parallel, but
yeah, but
that's why
that's
I
a
was
good point.
saying
Yeah,
1365 or whatever that number was. I think it has some significant meaning, the way he laid it
yeah.
out.
Look into it.
Mm,
I haven't looked into it. So
all right.
homework, more
Yeah.
questions.
I
Good. Unsolved mysteries.
know, we always have that. Well, I'm
Yeah.
so grateful to you today to come back to this. I hope everybody who missed you can get a
Thanks for
chance.
having me. Yeah.
Oh,
All
always.
right.
And next week, same time.
Yeah, that works good. And we'll try to figure out the live stuff to see if it worked. And people
I
can watch
hope it
live.
did.
Can you see if anyone's even watching?
Uh,
You can, because next time, if people know about, nobody knows about the show yet, right? So
yeah,
there
nobody knows. They'll
might be
know.
actual people watching and commenting
I would love
and
that.
trolling. We're going to have some trolls. So we need someone to moderate.
Ah, no. Let them troll. Who cares? We're just doing the word of God.